Welcome back, guys. This is Arnaldo, aka Mad Dog, and this is The Real, episode 230 of GG's The Mouthful Podcast.
G to the 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 G. I couldn't go that high.
Dear Lord, you went kind of high, though.
I was preparing myself, but no, I got me, la, la, la. No, I can't do it. I can't go, G. I can't do it. I lost my voice.
There it is. It's gone. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. David Santos, a.k.a. Dream Twister, a.k.a. the Spanish Opera Man.
Yes. a.k.a. Mr. Pavarotti. No.
Okay.
What is up, world? It is a GG weekend.
Sure
we are
is,
confirmed
sir.
for you.
It
Yes,
is.
indeed.
I agree. It's been an interesting week. I've had off. I do want to take this moment, and I know this is going to completely derail stuff, but I need to
Talk
say
about
this.
football.
Nailed it.
Shit.
I just want to say that we had an amazing victory last week. Dallas Cowboys, for the record, guys. An amazing victory. And
I knew it.
And I want to throw some interesting stats out there that most people will not know. And I'll keep this brief, guys, for the record. I get some of you get it, some of you don't. My team was down 20 zip at the beginning of the game, literally the first quarter, and they're down 20 zip. And we end up winning the game 40-39. That's the final score. Okay. And here's the most amazing part. There's a stat. I don't know who keeps these stats. It's the most real. Sometimes these stats that they find are like, who's keeping track of this shit? In a game where a team scores 39 points and has no turnovers, they win. And that is a stat that has been through the history of the National Football League, 440 to zip. They always win. Okay. 440 games.
Like catching the snitch in Harry Potter ball. Then.
It's always going to. They're always going to win. And in this week, guys, Dallas Cowboys gave that stat its first loss. It is now 440-1 because Dallas came back and won in an impossible game for the record. Just one of those, like, I can't even believe I'm watching this. You know?
Another thing that the freaking Dallas Cowboys messes up for everybody. I don't even know what they're still allowed to play.
Sir, it is America's team for a reason, for the record.
Oh, that's not the Patriots then? I mean, what more American than Patriots?
I mean, you're right. I mean, they're cheaters. They do all this other stuff. You're right. That's very American. At least it is nowadays. Am I right?
They're like, oh shit. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You couldn't tell me to differentiate, the Redskins from the Denver Nuggets. But I know that Patriots are more patriotic and more American than Cowboys. I can tell, in general.
Only by name, my friend. Only by name.
By name.
For the record, fun fact: the Washington Redskins are no longer called the Washington Redskins because of that term being, very derogatory towards Native Americans. They're just called Washington now. That's
really?
it.
They don't have a name.
They do. Washington. That's it.
The Washingtons, really? It almost sounds like petulant. It almost sounds like fine. Like if the NFL will not sanction our name, then we're just not gonna have a name. How's that?
Pretty much. That's basically what they want. Yeah.
I play for Washington. Washington what? States. The Washington States. There you go.
It's not even the state. It's the DC. That's
I know,
funny.
but I'm saying
That
it's
is
like
funny. Unbelievable.
the Washington
Unbelievable.
Celtics. There you go. I
There you
fixed
go.
it.
I'm sure Boston will love that. So anyway, I will not say that. I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who happens to be listening who watches football. And I get it. Yes, we shouldn't have been down 20-0. I get it. I understand that, but we still won. And that's all that matters.
There
In the
you
end,
go.
it's a W, right?
At the end, Mad Dog is happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can move on.
Yeah.
So
And we
let's
can
move
go
on.
back to video games.
Yeah. Let us move on to
So
to
Madden.
the show. Oh, I heard Madden is broken, dude. I heard 2021 is broken. I
There
was
you go.
like, what?
You must be reading the news from the 2019 version and the 2018 version and the 2017 version and the 2016 version and the 2015
They're all
version.
broken. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
It's kind of like its thing.
Yeah. I hear you. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out while I had my little rant there. What I'd like you guys to do, if you haven't already, is please go to goodgame.rocks. Join the conversation there. Takes you right to our Facebook group. And, of course, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. What we normally do, guys, is first we go into what we have been up to, move on into some various news items, and then finish with our hot topic of the week. This week's hot topic. Xbox breaks the internet.
God
twice.
Bless America. They have to break it again. Like,
Yes.
what is it this time? The freaking, like, people go, the people hear the word Xbox and they just go ape shit. Suddenly the internet has to get destroyed and go down and pandemonium happening. And I don't know, this freaking fanboys, if they will just calm the hell down, we could have a stronger internet infrastructure.
I agree.
I think.
100%.
Yeah.
Two things that happened this week. First off, they announced the acquisition of ZeniMax Media, guys, which in itself was a pretty big company and had its own. It had divisions, guys, like divisions within divisions. So they acquired that, which pretty much on a Monday just stopped the presses all over the place.
Yeah.
And I don't even think people use press machines anymore, and yet they were being stopped. How about that?
How about that? They restocked them.
Yeah.
I know that on Monday I texted you. I was like, "Whoop! Seems like we already have our topic of the week."
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then of course the release the pre-orders went up, and the internet broke again because just weren't ready for it. So obviously, I would say that the excitement. I'm sure there was excitement already for the Xbox. I can tell you, I was there trying to get a Series S. I'm not gonna lie, I was in there like, come on, man, F5. What the fuck?
Really?
Yeah, I've been doing on all of them. On that day, yeah, absolutely. But I couldn't get any, so I was like, oh well, it is what it is. I'll get it eventually. But I did run into some weird stuff where it would say, please don't do anything. Your screen, your thing is loading. Don't refresh. All this stuff. I'm like, whatever. You lie to me. I will refresh as much as I want.
If we're gonna talk about pre-orders, yeah, we're gonna talk about pre-orders when I get to my part of what I'm doing.
More of that. Okay, very.
It has been pre-order week. You know what?
Yeah.
This has been Black Friday, except like every day.
Yeah,
every day has been. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Today, as a matter of fact, I went in because apparently GameStop. As much as I don't even want to use GameStop, I'm like, well, if you got one for me, I'll use you guys. You know what I mean? No, they were gone by the time I got there. So I'm like, okay, well, it is what it is. Anyway, no, back to the hot topic. It's going to be mostly about the acquisition. What does this mean? What should, if at all, Sony do? To I don't know. Is there a comeback? Does there need to be a comeback? Probably
does it need
not.
to be a podcast? Yeah.
Yeah. Does it need? Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into that a little later on in the show, which, like I said, is probably going to be a hefty topic because being off for the week, I've been swimming in articles regarding the topic. So it's going to be an interesting one.
He's gonna
But
talk a lot, isn't he?
probably. But let's start the show with what we always start with, and that, sir, is what we have been up to. Mr. David Santos, what you been doing?
Oh man, what the
Yeah,
hell
you
have you
doing?
doing indeed, huh? I have actually. Well, first of all, last week, for those tuning in, last week I told you how I was going into my mission. My mission was to acquire a video card, an Nvidia 3080 uh, graphics card that you install on the PC, and basically it's the console generation leap, but for PC.
Mhm.
Except that instead of replacing the whole console, you just change your video card, or sometimes you might want to not be bottleneck, and then you end up like throwing your computer out the window and just buying a new one.
Starting all over from the beginning, yeah.
Exactly. No, you don't have to do that. But anyway, the thing is, I knew this thing was there was already. Let me put it this way: uh, there were speculations everywhere about the power of this thing. They released the benchmarks, and it was something like really unbelievable for the pricing that it was giving. That it was giving. I said this last year. It was twice the power of the expensive $1,200 previous video card that was released in 2018, and with ray tracing and all that stuff for $700. All right, so
Mhm.
of course you knew that it was gonna just go away. Pre-orders were gonna just disappear, and and indeed they that they came and went in a matter of like probably like the first 10 seconds. The thing went from not the where you will press add to my cart. It'll be it went from notify me to immediately out of stock
Hmm.
almost everywhere. Just by sheer luck, I was able to secure one, and I got it. I didn't like the model that I got, honestly,
Oh boy.
but I was okay with the fact that I didn't get the one that I wanted. I just got I just got one, and I was okay because at the end of the day, they all run relatively, the same, um, relatively speaking. But I've noticed that I was having trouble. I started having issues with it, uh, and
Mhm.
and so yeah. So unfortunately, after a whole, I me taking a day off, not going to sleep at that time, and pressing F5 to refresh on 7 or 8 tabs that I have open across 2 monitors. Um, I get the card and it's effective. So I can still
Wow.
play. I can still play with it, and I ran the benchmarks, and it's dude, the power of this thing is ridiculous. It actually makes me excited for the power of the consoles.
So wait,
Believe it or not.
if it's defective, how are you able to play it? I don't understand.
So here's the thing that is doing. So if I activate G-Sync, well, which is adaptive refresh rate, the monitor will start to flicker, flicker in and out,
Okay.
and so it'll become unplayable. I couldn't even use the desktop. So, but you'll argue that you only really need G-Sync on titles where you have trouble reaching uh, reaching the good frame, a good frame per second. Let's
Mhm.
say if you're dropping, if let's say if you want to maintain 60 and you're dropping at 45, you can notice that difference when you're playing. Well, with G-Sync, what G-Sync does is that it lowers the refresh rate from your monitor to match the refreshes of the image of the screen. right? So everything will continue looking smooth. It won't look like jerky and weird, you
Okay.
know. So if the frame rate drops to 45 frames per second, then the monitor refresh rate will go down to 45 hertz. And then if it goes back to 60, then it accommodates to that. And at one point, it doesn't continue following because, of course, if it drops down to single digits, your monitor is is not gonna refresh at single digits because by that time it'll be the flickering strobe light that I was describing, you know. Uh, so, but because I wasn't playing any games where I needed to have that active because the card is a beast. The card can run pretty much anything that I threw at it, uh, with the exception of Microsoft Flight Simulator. It'll run it over 60. No, take that out. It will run it over over 120 frames per second.
Hmm.
Easily. If I wanted to, like, I could be playing at 4K, but I don't have 4K monitors. I have widescreen monitors, but they're not 4K monitors. So, but anyway, the thing is, it did allow me to continue playing at least, which thank goodness, because I played a ton of games. Suddenly, I rediscovered my Steam collection
Mhm.
back, and I started playing. But anyway, all this to say that I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna have to RMA this card, and I'm going to have to see if I either RMA this card or try to get the card that I want, that I really want, um, which is the Founders Edition 3080, directly from Nvidia, rather than one of its vendors. And do by just again the by blessings of the PC gods, was bestowed upon me the chance to actually buy and get a Founders Edition, which
Oh, wow.
I still don't have it because it's still in, it they just shipped it today.
Shipping it. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And but it was funny because, and I feel bad actually. It was funny, but I also feel bad for. There's a lot of people that have been all this week, all this week on Reddit, on this website, uh, just sharing their frustrations on how they can't get any of these cards either from the Nvidia directly or from any of the vendors. They haven't been able to. And,
But
and
why are
and
you feeling bad? I mean, it's not like you secured 5 of them.
no. It just, but I was, there's people that from day one they haven't got a single one. I got two, and I'm complaining about not liking one because of its shape. I was like,
All
I
right. So
got an,
yeah, that's a
I
little
got a,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Which, to be fair, uh, it's not a big deal. It has a shape of a sack clown's lips on the front. So whenever I look at my computer from the front, all I can see is a sad clown, looking back at me. And I was like, oh man, I can't. I don't think I can. I think I'm gonna return this at some point, but I'll wait to see if I can secure a different one. And I finally secured the one that I wanted. Anyway, I was happy by that point. But one thing that impressed me a lot was the people that were doing making lines at their respective stores. And in this case, I think I sent you a video of this of this last night, and I posted it on the group.
Mhm.
People that were making a line on Micro Center. Micro Center is like a computer. It's a computer store. We don't have one in Florida, but I understand that I think in Georgia there is one, and the various parts of the West, they have them. It's kind of like what CompUSA used to be, basically. But again, we don't have CompUSAs anymore.
Mhm.
Anyway, people were camping since Monday for the release of the beastly card that was gonna come out. That is not even a game card, even though it was marketed as a gaming card, um, which is the 3090.
Mhm.
And
The
that version,
1500, right?
that version is $1,500,
Mhm.
and I was scared. I was scared because I didn't. Let's just say I didn't trust myself. If I couldn't get a hold of a 3080, I didn't trust myself with my card. Let's just say I didn't want to be so frustrated to the point where, because that's what a lot of people were doing. A lot of people were so fed up by the fact that these cards were getting s- purchased by bots on the internet that a lot of people said like, fuck it, I'll buy the 3090 then, and I'll spend twice the amount for literally 10% or 15% performance increase over the 3080. So more than double the
Yeah, I was
price
gonna say more than double.
for a
Yeah.
little. Yeah. I mean, the card has its reason. It's meant for people that render that who have a job that is, either rent you know rendering stuff, or they're in the content creation they're into content creation, or movie or stuff like that. Like, it has its point, but it was marketed as if it was card. Another gaming card. As a matter of fact, it was marketed as the world's first 8K uh, gaming card, where we don't have 8K monitors. I mean, we do, but they are ridiculously priced,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and super early. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of pointless. Anyway, I saw a line on that video of people wanting to get this since Monday. Uh, they it was kind of promising to see them. You know how we have everybody pre-ordering shit, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's the PlayStation 5, the Xbox,
Xbox Series. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah,
Series XS. Hmm.
yeah, and there are people that I'm sure haven't pre-ordered, were not able to pre-order, but that stores are going to have their allotments, as little as they are, and people are going to camp for that shit because they always do. It always happens. It always happens. So, so this group that was there for like almost an entire week, just doing nothing but on a freaking line, had developed into like this kind of like civilized community with a system to, like, if you needed to leave, whether to eat or to go to the bathroom or stuff like that, they have a roll call system. Basically, they have
That's awesome.
literally they have their names written up on two lists: a physical list and a list that someone was in charge of. This lady came up with the idea of making this list online, and they were basically organizing themselves. The store had nothing to do with this, absolutely anything. The store didn't even hand vouchers until the very Thursday when the cards were going to become available, and they have been there since Tuesday. Sorry, I take it back. Since Monday morning, in line. But they just came together. They developed this check-in check-out system, this roll call system, this uh, like that list of rules, that you have to make sure, like, for you have to report, if you weren't if you weren't reporting back in an hour, the hour of roll call, you will lose your spot. And in the meantime, they were having a great time. They will, people will bring their projectors. They'll be playing all night. There'll be, obviously, buying food and having this like communal experience
Hmm.
that I feel
Just to
like,
do this. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and I feel like we lost that ever since everything has mostly gone digital and people don't get excited about midnight releases anymore. I feel like we have lost that. We only get to experience that maybe once on Black Friday for the most part, and maybe Cyber Monday. But at that point, it's not the same because I feel like on those occasions you're on a line with total strangers and you're not sharing a particular common goal.
Hmm.
You might not have anything in common with the person
As
in
far as
front of
what you're
you or
getting.
behind you,
Mhm.
as far as what you're getting. Maybe just the fact that, hey, yeah, I'm making a line to take advantage of the deals, and
Yeah.
that, and
The
that's it.
doorbuster deals. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we lost that, and I've always liked that. I always really like, especially those midnight releases, because you get to know people, from different, parts of life, and you get to hang out with them for a little bit, and then you'll get the prize. Everybody will be, will cheer for you, and then you leave and you go home with your newly acquired, Mass Effect 3 or whatever you got that day. Um, anyway, this video, I would highly encourage people to watch it. It's longish in the sense that, I mean, it's 30 minutes, but it's cool to see what people would consider like a mundane things, like, oh, okay, they're just in line for the next iPhone or whatever. These people turn it into something like really, really nice, really, really special. There was drama on it. There was at one point there was a close encounter that could have turned out into a fight with someone that came in and tried to, basically, obviously, trying to cut off the line.
Jump
uh,
in line. What?
yeah, yeah. They were at 2 in the morning. People were like, a couple. I think, a couple dudes came in trying to cut in line. There was apparently there was some ladies also that came in on Thursday, that were basically asking them, like, how much are you willing to sell your voucher right now? Just name a price. Just name a price. And and they thought that they were kidding, but no, these ladies were serious business. It was like, just name a price. The guy said $5,000, and she said $5,000. Okay, hold on. And she started like doing things on her phone. I'm like, oh shit, is she transferring this? Is she gonna be? Is she gonna like
That's
Venmo?
yeah.
It was kind of crazy for, again, a completely, you know mundane thing. Well, mundane. I like that shit. I like computer hardware and stuff. So to me, it was the coolest thing ever. But even separated from that, just the idea, and the happiness at the end of the people that were able to acquire the cards at the last minute. There were some people that knew that were not gonna get a card. That were not gonna get a card because the allotment have already been set. They only have 85 cards in the store, and there were like 130 people or 125, something like that. But people still stayed just because they were having a good time. And guess what? A truck in the end comes in, like a FedEx truck comes in and pulls up, and they have 10 more cards. so, so,
Wow.
it was almost like a Christmas miracle, and it was, dude. It was really good. I had to send it to you because I needed to share it with someone, and I was like, I know this is not gonna interest him, in a sense that this is too long of a video and it's about a friggin' video card, but I need to share this with someone because it is a really good
Well,
it's a
no,
really
I
good
would
feel.
argue. Yeah, I would argue it's not about a video card. It's more about, when people, because you can have the exact opposite thing happen where everybody's just cutthroat. Which, let's be
Yeah,
real, on
true.
Black Friday, that's kind of how people are. They're just cutthroat.
That's
You,
true.
you may be there for different reasons, and they don't give a shit. They just want to make sure you don't grab their shit.
Yeah,
So to have a group of people make sense of what's going on, and someone to step up and say, hey, well, let's do this system. It'll be
let's
much more
organize
comfortable.
ourselves.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't have a central place. Let's just create our own democracy here. Let's make
yeah,
our own constitution.
yeah, and it made sense. I caught a little bit of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but I caught a little bit of it. And so I was like, okay, that's yeah. You kind of wish, every place would, or every situation would do that. And the truth, it isn't that. And I think that's more what the video is about, not really the card. You know what I mean? Because you said
That's true.
yourself, some
Yeah,
people walked away without the card. You know what I mean? It is what
yeah,
it is. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I would say it's more about, how, when smart people, think wisely on how they want to
hmm
handle a situation, as opposed to, that freaking mob mentality that can happen. So
Yeah. And not to mention the adventure of saying, I was on the same spot for 4 days, you know, and yet I still had a good time,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I got a reward at the end. It was cool. I really really like that. Like I even had to like tweet to do it, and I don't use Twitter or anything like that, but I had to say, dude, congratulations, man. Everybody's focusing on like benchmarks and shit, and you actually decided to take a different angle. You took the human, the human
The
aspect of
human
it,
aim, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and you made something really really special, really cool. Um, but yeah, that was my thing with the cards. On Monday, I'll hopefully get the card that I really wanted, and I'll install it on the computer and I'll report. Right now, I can tell you that with the one that I have with the Sack Clown, I'm just gonna call it the Sack Clown. Uh, I have been playing the Division 2, which I have put to everything to the max levels, and it doesn't flinch as far as the performance is. It's outstanding, and so I've been playing the season 3 of the Division 2, season 3 called Conceal Agenda, which brings uh, new targets to hunt, uh, obviously new gear, new leagues and global events, and they have this thing that they opened up called the Summit. Which is basically it's supposed to be this skyscraper, this 100 floor skyscraper that you go with your agent, uh, and you clear out. It's basically let's get the story. Let's put the story aspect like on a back burner, and let's just focus on the fun part, which is shooting shooting a bunch of people and clearing out floors. And obviously, as you get to the top of the floor, the enemies become more and more challenging.
Mhm.
And also have this thing where it varies stuff. Like no two playthroughs are the same, right? So it'll constantly keep you on your toes as far as what to expect on the next room and the next room and the next room. And I thought it was a fun way of if you can't dedicate too much time to um, to do grinds like on what is it where people organize, they go into raids.
Raids.
Yeah, you could actually just
I was gonna
just
say
spend some time
strikes,
with them.
but
Strikes, yeah,
I was gonna say
same
strikes,
shit.
but no. Are they?
I-
Okay. I thought they were different. Okay.
yeah, no, actually they are different. They are different. Strikes are a lot
Shorter. Shorter,
shorter.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Aside from Division 2, I've actually been playing Crisis, the original Crisis. Actually, no,
Oh, does
take
it
it back.
run?
The remaster track. Oh yeah. I had I tested it with my old video card, and it ran. It ran because remember this is the remaster version, so this is not the original. Because right now a potato can run the original, nowadays, because it's a 2007 game. But the remaster, oh boy, it's meant to remind you how difficult this game was to run on on current hardware.
Hmm.
And on a 2080, it was. I mean, it ran well enough. It was definitely playable. It was definitely playable. Uh, the with the 3080 though, that thing smokes. It's amazing. I still wouldn't play it on can it run crisis mode because that mode is overkill. That mode is meant to kill like any card, and it did. so, that wouldn't be necessarily be playable, but on ultra or high or whatever's the one before that ridiculous one,
So
it looks
there,
amazing.
there were some news pieces I saw that it's the remastered
Mhm.
still had some frame rate issues and stuff like you haven't been experiencing that at all.
Well, the frame rate, I will argue the frame rate issues is because the game is hard to run. The game, you do need a beefy. I mean, if you want to run it with all the bells and whistles, right? You can lower the the graphics and make it more to your liking. Uh, as far as it being unoptimized, I don't like I didn't feel like it was unoptimized, honestly.
Okay.
Uh, but I mean, but who knows? I feel like the game was heavy, but it was heavy because it was throwing some it was working with the engine, which is the Cry engine,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it was throwing some heavy what do you call it? Not just the graphics, but the physics. The
Okay.
physics. Because I'll go on record and saying I don't think this is like the most amazing graphics that you'll see. Like back when original Crisis came out, compared to what was available, without a doubt, this was the most amazing thing you have seen. But this remaster wasn't really trying to do that, or I would say if they were trying to make it like the most beautiful thing, they failed because it's not. It looks beautiful, yes, but I definitely seen better, and I seen better looking and better running. What I
Mm-hmm.
like about this particular about Crisis is that it was never just about the graphical fidelity. Not just that, it was about the simulation aspect, the physics aspect of things. Because let me tell you, you throw a grenade into one of them wooden houses,
Mm-hmm.
the house will fucking crumble. You will see shrapnel come out, and you will see it the roof go down, and you'll see shit falling down. Like the destructibility of the area and again, seeing it on what that game was in 2007, trying to do the same thing, it's kind of amazing. That's mostly why the people get fixated into like, oh, Crisis is like uh, one of the most amazing games of the generation. Yes, it was, because when you consider all it was trying to do, Crisis 2 came out. They felt like they had to tone down a lot of those physical elements because they needed to make it more mainstream. And to make it more mainstream, they needed to make sure that it ran on everything, console and whatever potato computer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then with Crisis 3, they made it. Crisis 3 was gorgeous. Crisis 3 was like the first game that I saw that I was like, man, this is next gen before next gen had happened. um, but it was because there was no physics at that point. Like all the magic was lost. It was a beautiful static imagery, just like the beautiful games that we tend to see, where everything looks gorgeous, but you can't interact with barely anything. So, but anyway, Crisis is still Crisis. I didn't play. I never beat it, um, because I never could tune. That was a game that was hard to tune to my liking, and by the time that I had the hardware to be able to tune it to where I would like to play it, I was probably playing something else already, and its time has passed. But now that I'm able to to play it, and it feels great, and they made some quality of life improvements on it. Uh, it's actually very very nice. I'm having tons of fun with it, and I do intend to play it to completion because uh, that game is really cool. I don't know where the story went, but yeah, again, no. In the sense that I never learned how it was
Yeah.
gonna,
The final song.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just sounds funny hearing it that way. I don't know where
Like,
the story went.
I don't know where the story went. Yeah, no, I registered in my head how I said it.
That shit took
Uh,
a left to Albuquerque and never saw it again.
it went to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Um, what else? I've also been playing Control, although admittedly I haven't started the AWE expansion yet.
Hmm. Okay.
I was mostly just completing the side quest from the previous expansion, and only because I was just testing to see how it was running with the new graphics card, and like amazingly just turning everything up, like full ray tracing shit, like everything up. It's like holy shit! It's just this is next gen. This is it. This is what got me excited this whole week. That's why I've been playing, so much shit. But I'm gonna cut it short because if I continue, Microsoft Flight Simulator, I also play a little bit of that. That game is not particularly super up. Well, I'm not gonna say it's particularly super optimized. I think, I think the Asobo Studios uh, made an amazing thing with that, with that game. And when you consider that you literally can see anywhere in the world, anywhere on planet Earth, it is, it's shortcuts or shortcomings or its hiccups can be forgiven.
Hmm.
Considering what you're doing. Also, I was calling it a game because even though I am having fun as like a game, but what are you doing? You get out, you take off from one airport, and then you continue flying. I'm directionless because I'm not doing like any particular plans. But I just at one point I'm tired, and I'm like, okay, where's the nearest airport? I'm just gonna request landing there, and I go in, and I'm able to land my little planes and have a good time. Um, Fun fact, and this is a real life, not the game because I haven't tried a bigger plane. But did you know, sir, that it's actually easier to land a Boeing 747 or those type of like passenger planes than it is to land like a Cessna or one of the little planes?
Little
Yeah.
what do they call it? Bipedal? No, bi engine.
Little-
I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I figured it. I mean, I want to say I remember hearing that somewhere, and I think it was from a friend of ours, Leslie, who's like super like obsessed with planes. Whenever he comes to visit, he'll tell me exactly the plane he's been on, and and all this, and why it was better than the last one. It just I was like, so I think I have to if. I remember hearing that somewhere, and that's really the only source that I can think that could probably bring that up. Because I wouldn't go looking for this, obviously. But yes, I did hear something about that
Yeah,
it's much for whatever reason it's much easier. Yeah,
it's basically it. I mean, it's basically it comes down to the automation. The bigger planes, the
it
jet
lands
planes,
itself
the
basically.
land. Yeah, yeah, almost literally. You could also like if you ever found yourself in in a dire situation where you had to take control and commandeer a passenger plane to land it. With some instructions and with some of your gaming dexterity, I'm sure you could pretty much land it safely. Like I thought that you'll be able to. That's why I'm playing a lot of Flight Simulator because I want to be prepared. You know, when that
Should this
happens.
ever happen to me in real life?
Yeah,
You never
yeah.
know. You never know. This world is crazy nowadays. You never know.
There you go, exactly, exactly. Now, if you were on a little plane, like you were gonna go skydive or something, and the pilot has a heart attack, then you're screwed because I don't know how to land those. You're screwed. I might as well try to land the jet plane from Top Gun in the Top Gun NES game on the friggin' carrier, which was next to impossible. That's pretty much all the major things that I've been playing. I've watched. I did watch a movie, um, and I forgot to mention a couple movies that I watched last week. But I realized that the reason I forgot is because they're completely forgettable movies, and I'm not gonna spend time, talking about them other than just to mention their names at at their moment, and you'll see why. But I watched Gemini Man.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that movie was kind of stupid. It's not. Well, I'm not gonna say it's not bad because it is kind of bad, but it was entertaining. The best I can say is say yeah, it'll make an afternoon go. It was kind of silly in the sense of not silly as in comedic silly, more like in Oh,
The
this is
theme,
too
the
stupid.
theme,
Like the theme, the
yeah.
whole,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
will say, I don't know if you would agree. I will say that there was a pretty decent action scene towards the middle. I can't remember exactly where it was, where I was like, "Ooh, this is actually this is kind of done pretty well here." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But it
yeah.
was an action scene that
Those are
one
fightings that
action
were
scene.
legit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay. But other than that, it really wasn't much
Yeah.
to write home about. I agree.
Yeah, and I typically, that I typically like my movies when they give me
An
a
ending.
closure, an ending. Exactly. Yeah, I don't. So, but this is one of those movies where it kind of like really wants to tie a bow at the end, and it's like, oh, come on, guys, like it doesn't.
Oh, now this
You
is
know,
too much of a bow. Oh,
this is
okay.
yeah, yeah. This is too big of a bow for a very small package. You know?
I know what you're talking about too, and let me tell you, the
Yeah,
CG at the blast bar was just
it
like
was awful. It was awful.
grotesque. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
this
was
is
awful.
disgusting.
It
It
was
had
awful.
some other moments where I was like, oh, this all right, they're
Yes.
getting good at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that it
I,
looked
I
like they
might even.
wasted. Yeah, I was gonna say, it looked like they wasted the entire budget in the beginning portion. Had like nothing enough at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was at the beginning. I was like, you know what? This is. I'm still don't care much for the movie, but that's really cool. That looks cool. That young Will Smith, he looks cool. But yeah, there was a lot of other points, especially like you said at the very end. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it
mama,
looked bad. Yeah. Grotesque. Yeah.
wrap it up. Put a bow in it. No, yeah, I won't say. There were some other things that kind of bothered me, but I'm not sure if I should mention them because they will be going into spoiler territory, and I think that that movie is it's too early to spoil. Um, but really, guys, you can just miss it. It doesn't taste good. you you don't have to try it. Let's see what. Oh, and another thing is that so it has also Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I'm saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Winstead, and she kind of reminds me like the way she looks now reminds me a lot of someone from work, and I just could not unsee it. I just could not unsee it.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm thinking
I
about?
don't think I do.
Okay.
I don't think I do because I think, I'm kind of a fan of Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I
Oh,
probably
me
would have
too.
noticed this
Don't get me
person. Yeah.
wrong. It's just I remember her like the image that I used to conjure all the time was uh, Scott Pilgrim. The Scott
Hmm.
Pilgrim version. Like I haven't seen it in a lot of other
Ramona
films.
Flowers. Yeah.
Ramona Flowers, yeah, Ramona Flowers. You see this version, and it's like, oh, that's D from work. It's like, no, I can't. Because I used to like D back in the day. If you remember, like, oh, I used to. But well, yeah, no, I don't know. We'll talk off the
Oh, yeah.
air.
Yes. Sir.
Yeah. Speaking of Scott Pilgrim, uh, one of the movies that I watched last week that I didn't care to mention was called Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Oh, I remember that movie. I remember actually enjoying it. It
You like
didn't.
it?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was good. It wasn't bad. I
Uh,
like the music. In the
yeah,
entire film.
yeah, it
Um,
is. Yeah, that's
it was a
that's
long
true.
time ago, though. Yeah. Yeah.
That's yeah. That movie's from like 2010. It's trying to be like a comedy, like a rom com,
Yeah, it's exactly
and
what it is. Yeah.
so my and the reason I mentioned speaking of Scott Pilgrim is because Michael Cera
Mm-hmm.
uh, stars in it, and who was the lady? Kat Dennings.
Cat
Uh,
Dennings. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Michael Cera, he's playing Scott. He might as well be playing Scott Pilgrim on this one also. It's like, oh, okay, so that's the only character you know how to play. Okay, gotcha. Okay. But yeah, I didn't care that much for it. But I can tell you that it was better than the other movie that I saw, which is called "She's Out of My League."
Oh
you could
God,
tell. You could tell I was with my wife. They're watching this movie, so, and of course,
she's out of my league was funny. It is definitely
what's
not a. It's definitely not
you have a weird sense of humor because
the
you don't like
well.
comedies, but the comedies that you like,
I
I kind
don't.
of like
Yeah,
them. Wow.
I I guess. I mean that's probably why I guess I don't like today's comedies. Is really what it is. But this one,
No, yeah,
um, I mean, it's for the record. I agree. It's not a good movie. You know what I mean? It's an okay movie with funny moments. Um, but I think what it is that in my head I remember all the funny moments. I don't really remember the rest of the film. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's probably and it was a while ago since I saw that. I mean, that was another old one, dude.
That's another. Yeah, yeah. I think Nick and Nora was 2008 actually, and this and She's Out of My League. I want to say it's 2010, but like,
Yeah.
who cares in reality? It's like this is the thing. I sit down with my wife and and I'm gonna pick a movie, right? And I just realized I just don't do the movie things. I sitting down and I am scrolling to like the list of all the movies on Netflix, on Prime, on HBO, on HBO Go, or now or whatever the hell it's called.
Do you not have a list of 3 movies that I have said, hey, check these movies out?
I
And the next
can't
time
get
you're
to.
looking,
I can get to one, and I come and see it, and I'm like, okay, now I emptied my list. I don't have a list. I mean, meanwhile, you have a backlog of like hundreds of movies
yeah,
that
it's
you want
ridiculous.
to
Yeah.
watch, and I'm like completely I like there's nothing.
The
Spiders
level,
are in it.
the the level of anxiety that I have when I look at my lists, it's just it's just not. I can't even tell you. I can't even express how anxious that list is. I almost avoid it. And then the worst part is when I clear one out, right? Because
uh,
first of all, I have several lists, right? So
uh,
if I see one
you have
like on,
several lists.
I know, if I see one like on Prime, or if I see one like on Netflix or one of the other ones, HBO, and then I go back to my Prime list and I see, oh, okay, so I watched that one. I watched that. Okay.
Mm.
So I end up taking like 2 or 3 of them out, but only to add another 5 because I'm now scrolling and going, oh, that's a new one. Oh, and that's a new one. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it is
My God.
oh, screw that list.
I can't. I can't even.
Screw that list. Yeah.
I can't even imagine, having that because, and I'm sure you can't imagine my way, which is I'm a mentee. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I sit down, and it has happened that I sit down and I'm like, I don't want to. There's nothing here. Like,
Yeah.
can we just watch Frasier or something? Like I'm set on my old ways.
Yeah.
you know and sometimes I mean, but Yuderka has watched so many movies uh that she also have trouble sometimes finding something that she'll be interested in watching because for the most part, um if something is if there's something that she likes, it's still on like early access and stuff like that where I'm like, nah,
That was like
that's
$20 or something like that.
yeah. um So, and I told it it's okay if you want to do that, but like limit it to maybe like once. If it's gonna be like a $7 movie or something like that, limit it to once a week. If it's gonna be a $20 or $30 movie, just limit it once a month, uh, because that's kind of ridiculous. Uh, we both want the movie theaters to finally open whenever it's safe.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you can go there now. Just not,
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree you should, but you can definitely
yeah,
go there now.
I'm okay. I'm okay, fam. I'm okay. You know what? I've taken enough time with this show already. Let's see what you have actually. What
Well,
have you been playing and doing and vacationing and
I'm
stuff?
vacationing. Yeah. Since we're on the movies, I'll just start with the movies that I saw, which are
Yes.
2 older films, so I can get these through these pretty quick. The first one was Slumdog Millionaire, which I've actually seen already, and I just wanted to rewatch it again because it is
Slumdog.
a great film. Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire, and I want to say I saw this on HBO. Think
Mhm.
it's leaving this month, so if you're interested at all, watch it now before it goes. What it
Okay.
is essentially is about a teenager
Uh-huh.
or a young kid in Mumbai, where he ends up on a show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and this is a show, the India version of the show,
Mhm. Uh-huh.
and so but he is so if you know India and a lot of countries like that, they have a caste system where your position in society is dependent on where you the job you have and where you are and stuff like that. So
Uh-huh.
he works for a company, I can't remember, like a phone company, but he doesn't really take the phone calls. He's just the one that kind of gives everybody tea. So there's a tea in Indians, they call it chai, so they call him a
Oh.
chai walla, which is, I don't want to say derogatory, but it's just kind of saying, hey, this is just a low down guy who serves
Mhm.
tea to everybody, and that's just his job. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
he ends up getting on the show, and he gets this is the very beginning.
Mhm.
He gets to the last question, and of course the show ends, and they have to pick up the next day, and he gets arrested, taken in because he's clearly cheating. You know what I mean?
He.
Yeah,
Oh.
they believe that he's cheating because it's like, how is it that a slumdog,
Uh-huh.
someone who never had an education or a regular education, can answer all these questions? It's impossible. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And so the story is basically during the investigation, he's kind of going through the steps and how he learned this stuff,
Uh-huh.
and it's through his life. It's through his life experiences that he learned this stuff, and it's really fascinating. Well told story.
Mhm.
Good music. And if you watch any Bollywood and stuff like that, it's always got good stuff in there, and it's touching. It's you kind of feel really like sad at some point because like, man, I can't believe the rough life this kid has
Right.
had. You know what I mean? And that's how he's learned some of these things that you wouldn't, questions that even I wouldn't know. And I had a traditional had the traditional education and stuff like that. So I was like, man, how is it that he's never went to a school like that, lived most of his life on the streets, and was able to answer all these questions?
Ah,
Yeah. And
the
so,
toughest of the schools, the
yeah,
streets.
yeah, that's right. That school of hard
Ah,
knocks. That's right.
like School of Hard
Uh,
Knocks, exactly.
yeah. So it's
Okay.
a yeah, it's
Huh.
definitely a great film, directed by Danny Boyle.
Mhm.
It stars Dev Patel, which you've probably seen him in some films, and Frida Pinto. And it's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend if you haven't seen it. It came out in 2008 as well. So
Oh.
I saw it when it first came out, or at least not in the theater. I saw it like when it first came to home, whatever, at
Uh-huh.
the time. I don't remember. I think maybe video cassettes were still around. I don't remember. But the point is, I saw it like that. I didn't see it in the theater, and so it's really good. The other one I saw is a movie called Tortilla Soup, or Tortilla Soup, and this is a 2001 film. And what it is a story of a Mexican American chef who has three daughters, and he's a brilliant chef that's losing his losing his sense of taste. And so it's
Oh.
just about how he deals with his daughters who are now growing up and doing their own thing, essentially.
Uh-huh.
This is actually a remake of a Taiwanese film called Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, which literally tells the exact same tale, but it's in
Uh-huh.
Chinese or Taiwanese.
Uh-huh.
That one, for my taste, I think that the Eat, Drink, Man, Woman is much, much better. This one's not bad, but it's not the same. It's just there's a little more involved in
Oh,
the other
for one,
one.
they have tortillas instead of, Asian
Oh,
cuisine.
yeah. Let me tell you, this is also for both films is a food porn extravaganza.
Ah, okay.
Okay,
There you
so
go. That's why you
one of
rented
the
it
reasons,
from that.
yeah, one of the reasons I even saw it the first time, I think, is because of that. My wife is the one who mentioned it because she had seen it already, and we saw it. I was like, "Man, it's great!" And she mentioned, uh, she also mentioned one of these. Again, I've seen this film before. It's just happened to stumble upon it when I was looking at stuff to watch, and there it was. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's watch this again." It's pretty cool. This one stars Hector Elizondo, Jacqueline Obrados, Tamara Melo, A couple people there's a comedian too. I can't remember his name here. It's one of these old Mexican comedians. Let me see if I find his name real quick because I want to give him props. Huh?
No, I said Chespirito.
Chespirito? No.
Not that old.
No. I can't find his name, and it's pissing me off. And I don't want to spend too much time on it. But Paul Rodriguez, there it is, Paul Rodriguez.
Paul Rodriguez, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's in it too, and it's a good film. It's a good film. It's a solid 6.5. It's not nothing to write home about. I say that the Eat, Drink, Man, Woman is better, but that is of course in as an Asian film. It's subtitled, so watch it if you want. As far as gaming,
what's it called again?
The Asian one is called Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
Ah, okay.
And then this one's tortilla soup.
Tortilla soup. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So
I'm making my list. So that
okay.
next time I won't be just like going blind.
Slumdog Millionaire, sir. Everything I met you, please put that one first.
I got that one.
All right. As far as gaming goes, I fell back down the rabbit hole of Control. And I started all the way from the beginning.
Wow.
And not only did I beat the game, I also beat Foundation.
Oh, damn. It's like you're on vacation.
I know. It's like I have all this time now. I don't know what to do with myself.
Damn. You already caught up twice.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I'm taking a break. I'm not going to do the AWE yet, even though I have it ready to go. I just don't want to overdo controls. Even though, to be fair, I think I really, really do love this game. This may be one of my favorite games of this generation. I just love the story, the way it's told, the environmental storytelling behind it. Everything about the old house I love. Just the way it's designed, the way they trickle out information, that leaves you with questions, and then they answer some more, but pose some new questions. You can kind of put a lot of stuff together if you've read any sci-fi or dealt with any sci-fi. You can kind of put pieces together. So absolutely love this game. It is a beautiful looking game on top of that. It's probably one of the best looking games of this generation as well. And Foundation is it's good. I like what was going on. It really felt more like a lot of fetch quests, sort of, and it's just, hey, I need you to go here, I need you to do this, I need you to do this. I'm like, okay. Well, the first one kind of had a little bit of that, but this one was a little bit different. I do like some of the interesting story beats they introduced, which I will not spoil. Which made it kind of interesting. Made some characters a little bit more interesting in general.
I did feel like it fleshed some characters, but I'm not sure if I can say that I got more from the story, because I honestly I felt like it was kind of bland on story. Like
I would agree. The only aspect that I liked was. I do like everything surrounding the character of Marshall, which was in the main story, the main Control story. I do like what was going on there. I liked and disliked some of the new enemies. The enemies with the freaking pickaxe. I mean, those fuckers right there, dude. I was just like, these guys are annoying. I was like, they were
no fun to fight.
Yeah,
they're not fun to fight until you discover. Like I was trying to play with strategy, and like I'm just gonna grab that and throw it to them, and fuck, they
move. Yeah, they
move out of the way. But I noticed that if you just kind of like flick the power instead of using it fully and grabbing whatever towards you and then throwing it to them, if you just like kind of like activate it to where whatever she grabs will gain momentum, and but immediately releases so that
it doesn't come all the way to you and then to them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It'll just hit them, and they will not be able to dodge it.
Yeah, so because they don't see it coming. Yeah,
exactly.
I agree. Yeah, and honestly, that's actually credit to some of the design. You know what I mean? Because that kind of makes sense. They are characters who are you know, like mad dogs. Oh, hey, mad dog.
Hey,
Like a mad
why
dog.
do you like it
Basically,
so much?
the would run at you, and
Yeah,
doesn't pay attention to anything around it because it's tunnel vision to you,
yeah.
and same thing with those characters, which is why they don't see it when it comes from the side as opposed to coming directly at them. So that makes sense, and it was true. And there was some of the new abilities. That was another thing I was a little disappointed about. I was like, so these
Mm-hmm.
new abilities are okay, but they're really just kind of helping you move around the area, not
Yeah.
really, and sure, in some cases it could be used for combat, which, to be fair, that's how I dealt with a lot of those characters with the spikes. When you have the spikes in the ground,
Yeah.
I was able to just, with that right there, it made it actually extremely easy. So not extremely easy,
Really?
but much easier.
I found. I mean, I noticed that I will whenever I will activate that, it will be by pure chance that I will get them. Like I wasn't planning on getting them.
Oh, I'd
Uh,
set them up. I would
but oh, I
purposely set
bet
them
you,
up.
yeah. But I felt I've just like you. I felt like most of the powers that you get are okay for traversal,
Yeah,
but not so much for combat.
not for combat. Yeah.
Specifically the one where you're making the crystals grow from whatever part, so that you can just step on them and move to the next area.
Mhm.
Uh, like you can use that for like for no for any purpose on combat. Like that does nothing.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Nothing at all. I agree.
it was kind of
Um,
pointless.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like you can't, for instance, you cannot take that ability and bring it to the old house because there's
Yeah,
nothing in the old house you can use for that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
so that's a little
That's what
bit
I'm
of a
saying.
disappointment.
It felt kind of tacked in.
Yeah, for specifically just for this expansion.
Yeah,
And then the actual caves and stuff like that, while they looked interesting, like definitely an interesting take on what these caves would look like, they were still just a bunch of caves. You know what I mean? And it
uh,
wasn't like the old house. The old house
your
it's
house was
got a
awesome.
personality of its
Yeah,
own. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Similar to Rapture, right? I always say Rapture's world was its own character sometimes, you know
yeah,
what I mean? And same thing with the old house. And so that's something that
yeah,
the foundation, which the foundation is the foundation of the whole house,
yeah.
just kind of lacked a little bit of.
Oh, I feel
But
like it pales in comparison. Yeah.
yeah. So but overall, I was able to. So yeah, so I'm caught up with that. But again, I wanted to take a break before going to AWE. So I started another game, and this I was playing on my Switch. It's a game called Dex, DEX, and this is the Switch version, which is the enhanced version. It's basically an action side-scrolling RPG. Kind of takes place in a futuristic cyberpunkish world, um, and it's not for me. I pay, and the thing is, I did a little bit of homework on it. Actually, there's a video that or a YouTuber that you share a lot that has the buy rent sale.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I've ACG. ACG.
ACG. Thank
Yeah, yeah,
he actually had a video of this, and he actually recommended this as a buy. So I was like, okay, and it wasn't the only one. Do a little homework. You try to stay away from spoilers and stuff like that, but I just wanted to see, is this worth it? Because it keeps coming up, and I like the way it looks. And to be fair, it looks good. As I was playing it, it looks good. It was really the gameplay that was at some points infuriating.
oh,
So what you play as Dex, obviously, and so she wakes up and suddenly somebody's on a comm saying, "Get out! They found you, whatever." And now you're on the run, and you run into some guy, and his name is Decker, of course, and he, yeah, perfect sense,
especially in
right?
this world. Yeah,
So he helps you out to get some place, and you start finding out that you're able to sort of hack into uh I can't remember the name of what they call cyberspace, I think is what they refer to, but basically she's someone who can hack in without actually having a dock or a thing on her neck, which most people have, like the Matrix or something like that. So she's able to do it without the need of having that. And so that's a lot of the gameplay. You have some gunplay, but you really don't want to use guns because it takes a long time to reload, and it usually calls a bunch of enemies towards you, and you don't really want that. It's kind of a little bit of a stealth thing, but the movements are a little clunky. The there's alarms that you can set off, and then these little mini games when you try to hack something, kind of similar to Nier Automata when 2B, was it 2B or A2 or whatever?
2B, yeah.
2B. Whenever 2B
2B
would
or not
hack
2B?
into whenever he would hack into something, and he would it would become this little like shooter mini game.
Oh, yes, yes.
Something like that, but not as versatile, and it swarmed on you all the time. Just like,
Really?
how do people freaking get through this? And
Because it looks awesome. I'm looking at gameplay already, and yes, so like her walking animation or running animation, because I guess she doesn't walk. It looks kind of like, let's say, old school to put it.
Yeah. The game itself is fairly old. I want to say it came out maybe like 2016 or something like that. It recently came out to Switch, the enhanced edition and all this stuff. So I've had my eye on it for a little bit, and I was like, all right, well, let me just, because it was a sale, and I was like, let me just get on this, right? And so it became too infuriating. You know what I mean? Is
it the difficulty? Like, what is it, or is it that it's slow?
The hacking is challenging. So here's the deal. It's one thing to have a challenge on one thing, but when you have multiple things kind of working against you at all time, it just becomes like at some point I was like, okay, because so I walk into a room and I'm like, all right, as I walk in, there's an enemy walking away. He doesn't see me yet, but I can't walk to him because there's a camera right there. So I have to hack the camera. If I hack the camera successfully, then I can run over to him and take him out, right? Now, the camera hacking alone will take away from your focus bar, right? Because you're as you're getting hit in cyberspace, you're losing focus. If you lose all your focus, you get knocked out in the real world, and you lose like 50 health or something like that. You know what I mean? And that happens rather frequently. And so it's like, okay, I need to be able to do this quick. So I redo things a lot, and that's the other thing. You die, and you have to there's no autosave from what I've seen. I have to manually save. You know what I mean? So something I learned the hard way the first time.
Shit.
So which is fine. I was still enjoying my time with it. You know what I mean? The combat is very, again, clunky. You have to be able to block and then punch, and then they have some hits that have like a red thing right above them. You have to avoid. You can't block those. But again, it's not fluid. It just felt really clunky. And at some point I was like, okay, maybe I just need to have lots of med health and stamina. So I went to one of the shops, you know what I mean? It says, let me just get a bunch of these, you know what I mean? And in one mission, I went through almost more than half of it. I'm like, this was one mission. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, holy crap, I do this all the time. And then I don't know what it was. I was just getting caught with a lot of these cameras and stuff like that. And of course you get, the camera will alert an automated gun, and that just, you know what I mean? It takes all your energy. And then I have to redo it again, right? Because I have to start over. And I'm like, and it frustrated me to no end, bro.
Oh, wow.
And so
it's such a shame, because I'm looking even with I can see the particular clunkiness. It almost looks like a design style in itself, and I'm like, wow, this looks really cool. Even hacking, which kind of reminds me of I don't know, like I think it's like what you described. It becomes a shooter suddenly, and kind of a complex one at that. But I don't know. I kind of want to try. It looks cool.
I can always lend you my Switch. I don't know if I can share games that way, but it's on my Switch. So it's
but if you're saying that is not, because you're right. I mean, the movement. First of all, and I hope it's a game that has several areas, because the movement is from left. It's a side scroller, It's a true and true side scroller. I see that it has RPG elements. Like I see that you put points into hacking, and I was wondering like maybe that was your problem. Maybe you didn't put
Well,
a lot
that's
of
what I
points.
thought too, right? So I started putting more into hacking as well. So I actually have the max on hacking, and it's still it comes down to the defenses of the area. You know what I mean? And
Uh,
it's almost like a dice roll. Sometimes I can do it at a certain point, and then they're far enough away where I have enough time to hack before I need to start shooting back and stuff like that. Other times, the moment I start hacking, it's right there and it's already clobbering my reticle or whatever the fuck it is that's floating around. You know what I'm saying? It's
uh,
like holy shit. You know what I mean? And again, it's not. I know, I know that I can continue and get through it. It's just the frustration was more than I wanted. And it's just, this is me
yeah.
redoing stuff a lot, and I probably played it probably a good 4 hours,
Mm,
and I probably did about 2 hours worth of stuff because of stuff I had to constantly redo. And so it was just like I felt like it was just swimming against the current here, just so I can get. And the story again. Oh, and the other thing, completely voice acted.
really?
Everything is me. I've said it before. It's like I don't mind those things, but I'm in the world now where I'm like voice acting is it brings so much more to a
Uh-huh.
game than reading a bunch of text. Sure, you can read it because they have it on screen, but everything is completely voice acted. So it's like,
Wow.
yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Um, but
I'm
unfortunately,
looking at it on Steam, and it has it has a demo, and it's funny because
there you go.
it gives me a very very strong Shadowrun vibe,
Yeah.
except except for the fantasy elements that Shadowrun introduces. But everything else, the cyberpunk, oh, maybe that's what it was. The cyberpunk section, the very Blade Runnery. Uh, dude, I'm telling you, I'm looking at this on
Play the demo.
Steam,
Play
and
the demo.
it kind of looks up, but then no, but then I look at the Metacritic on it and 62. It's like, oh shit,
Recommended by
62.
APG. I'm saying the
Wow,
one you
the
according
one
to
that
you, the
matters.
only one matters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's an acquired people like. Okay, I'm not gonna say it, I probably wouldn't even like it, but I can see people that will eat this shit up just because of the sheer style that they're showing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at video of it, and the style of it enough uh sense the little bit of clunkiness of the movement, but everything. And I should say, I was I was looking at comparing the movement. I'm looking on the movement on PC right now. And even though it's not the type of game that you would think, well, it's because of the power of PC versus the power of the Switch. If you look at this video, you'll notice that it looks smoother. Uh,
I'm sure it
but
does. Yeah.
but yeah, it's not gonna play a 6.0 game. Come on.
you you don't
Sorry,
have to pay for
ACG.
one. You just have to play the demo so you can kind of see what's going on.
What if
But
I like it? If they not like it, then I'll be the guy playing 6.0. I already feel bad about liking Hawk. Tom Clancy's Hawk. Okay.
oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry for that. So anyway, that's Dex. Proceed at your own risk when it comes to that. I played it on the Switch. It is available, I believe,
It's on everything.
everywhere. I
Yeah,
know
it's
it's
on
on
everything. So
PC. Yeah, I think it's everywhere. I got it
PS4,
on the Switch because it was on.
Xbox.
Yeah, I got it on Switch because it was a sale that I picked it up on, so that's why I
Yeah.
ended up picking it up there. Finally, the game that I am extremely enjoying. And
As
honestly,
opposed to the other ones.
as opposed to the other ones, yeah. I really just want to go back and play. I am shocked at this game, sir.
What?
I am playing Hades, and
80s. Japanese.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
yes. Yeah,
playing.
it's released. It's out. It's out. It's
Yeah,
version 1.0. It
yeah,
happened.
that's right.
Talk to
It
me,
only
Goose.
so as you guys know. Well, I know David knows. I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but when it comes to certain game styles, I tend to not get into them so much. And I was a little bit concerned with this one as well. I knew the pedigree, and I think that's really what got me to say, fuck it, I'm just going to get it. And the pedigree is
I
Super
need to
Giant
try it at
Games.
least.
Yeah, Super Giant Games has really not failed me yet. Period. This is their fourth game, and as far as I'm concerned, they've made 4 hits. Their first game was Bastion, which I played way after it came out, but shortly before or around their second game, which was Transistor, which I absolutely love. And then we'll call it the ugly duckling, or the weird one, or it's just the one that probably makes little sense to anyone, and that is Pyre, which to me, believe it or not, is probably my favorite of the Supergiant games. It
Wow.
oozes
More than
originality.
Transistor? You need to play
The
Transistor again, sir.
I did play Transistor very recently. I actually posted a picture on
Wow.
Instagram. And don't get me wrong, that's still a great game. I'm not saying that it's great, but I got so much out of Pyre. And the soundtrack of Pyre is so amazing.
More than Transistor? You need to play Transistor again, sir.
Sir, if you have not played Pyre, then I don't want to hear nothing, okay?
I have played Pyre. I have played Pyre until I realized that this game was trolling me because it was a fucking football game masquerading as an RPG. I'm like, no, fuck this. I'm not doing this.
It was, first off, the closest
Game.
comparison would have been like basketball. But anyway,
Sure,
my point
whatever.
is to say that game, the story of that game is really where it's at. And that's really where Supergiant Games excels at. So knowing this, and knowing that I'm not a huge fan, because Hades is a roguelike, and I am not a fan of roguelites in general. The only one that I've really, really ever attached to and played many, many hours is oh dear Lord, oh my God, I forgot the name. Jesus Christ.
Dead Cells.
Yeah, Dead Cells. Oh my God, guys. I know. Not only do you, like, the little thread is gone, the panic that comes behind going, how did I just lose this thread? Dear Lord, where is the thread? It's like I just get overexcited. So Dead Cells, and why why did I like Dead Cells? This is one of those things that would boggle me for so long. Why is it that I don't really care for roguelikes, but Dead Cells just got me, you know what I mean? And it was because it was rewarding. It really, really rewarded your runs. You were starting from the beginning, but you always came out of it with something that you can put towards your next run, and you were always getting better. And the runs were lengthy runs because they were designed to be in a certain way where you can make it pretty far. Even on your first run ever, you know what I mean? And I think Chaos can even attest to that, because even he was pretty good at it in the beginning. But then you start getting to the bosses, and you start realizing, whoo, it's a little bit behind this. Okay, you know what I mean? So, so that was the one, anomaly, because I played a bunch of other ones, and they just never really. I quickly lost interest because of the constant going back and really having runs that you would not get anything out of. You just spent, half an hour, 45 minutes on a run to come away with nothing, and you have to start from the beginning again, Hades, my friends. Okay. Not only are you constantly working towards bettering your character and giving them power-ups that you take on to your next run, the story consistently changes as you die. Okay. Characters recognize this is your third time. And they recognize who you died to. Oh, so it was this person this time. Man, that's okay. You should probably try this. It's one of those weird things. And even the main character that you're playing, when you get back to the area that you had died in previously, will recognize it and basically mock the thing you just killed. Like, this time it was my turn, something like that. And it's like, yes, you know what I mean? So I can definitely see why this game took them 3 years. It went into early access in the end of 2018. And it's been in early access ever since. And so we're 2 years out from early access, roughly. And they just went 1.0 like last week or the week before, something like that.
I remember I played it as soon as it released on early access, and I knew it was a Supergiant Games joint, and it was available. Sadly, only on the Epic Game Store.
Originally,
and only as early access. And I remember playing it, and I was like, "Dude, this is." You say this is early access, and you still have lots of ways to go, but this is polished as And this is very nice looking already. This plays well, Too bad it's a roguelike, but it's still. But that doesn't mean I won't try it. I was actually waiting for. Okay, if I'm gonna play this, if I'm gonna give it a chance, I'm gonna wait for 1.0. I just wanted to try it, because I knew that I was gonna play it eventually. And to hear you say this and get this excited,
is visually, I mean, I have to say probably the best looking game they've made so far. Visually, the gameplay loop is addictive. It's one of those things where you just know and it doesn't, let me tell you, it doesn't hold your hand. You know what I mean? It doesn't say, hey, when you see this icon, do this, or that's what this is for. It's one of those things where it's going to say, you're going to figure this out. Why? Because you are the son of Hades, and we don't need to explain something to the son of Hades because he knows. So you're just going to figure it out. You go, this is the reason why I love films that do this, that don't hold your hand. It's just going to say, you will figure this out. It's all a good film doesn't need to hold your hand. And you will come at the end going, I got everything I need. I understood everything. You know what I mean? Same thing here. I've played only probably about 3 hours so far, and I just want to go back and keep playing. It's just, it's good. It is really, really good. I already got to my first boss and almost took her out, which was really, really exciting. And it was like, yes, I got the what do you call it? The angle. I just figured out her angle towards the end of the fight. But I already had too little energy at that point. So I was like, okay, I get you. And then, of course, you go back and I'm like, oh, so I can put this on this particular charm on my dash, which will give me an extra dash, which will make it even easier to take her. Okay. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things like, oh, man, you just put 2 and 2 together. And like I said, it's too cool, bro. It's too cool. The characters are all ridiculously well.
The humor is awesome on that game. I love it.
Oh my god! The Supergiant Games is, like I said, right now they're 4-4 when it comes to 4-0. I should say they're 4-4, whatever. When it comes to their games, so and they're so different. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit, taken aback by the fact that this was a roguelike. So I was really thinking of just skipping this. I was like, well, I'll wait for the next one. But their next one at this point is like 3 years away. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it could be a dating simulator. You'll be like, yep, I'm all in. I'm all up.
Yes, I have no choice. Yeah. But yeah, at this point, they have Pyre was the one that solidified them for me because I wasn't sure personally. I wasn't sure what was going on early on in the game. But once it clicked, dude, I was just like this. And then the story was amazing. The story of Pyre is one of those things where they designed it in a certain way where if you lost every right, which the rights are those games that you're talking about, if you lost every one of them, they had a story for you regardless. Like they purposely made a story for every angle that you were going to have. If you had won all of them, if you had won most of them, if you lost most of them, or if you lost all of them, you had a different story at the end. Oh, and by the way, the end song of Pyre was specifically designed with all the choices that you made. So the end song that you had would be different from the one I had based on their decisions. That's fucking genius, bro. That's kind of high level shit right there. That's so when amazing. I see stuff like that, I'm like, yes, here's my money. I know it's a roguelite. I will trust you implicitly anyway. And
At this point, they have earned the right to pre-order the next game. Here, yes, if it's gonna help, yes, go, yes.
I might
make
just
your
do
game.
early access for
Just
them,
make your game,
even though
yes.
I won't even play it until it's 1.0. I'll just say,
That's basically
fuck
what I
it.
did. I honestly, I was enjoying it, and if you remember going back to all those podcasts ago, I was enjoying it quite a bit. I think I played for like a solid 2 weeks, and then I was like, okay, no, I can't continue because I'm not gonna get the full experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I've been doing. And guys, we are back. And it is time for our useless news that you can use. And so I'm going to start from the top, from a little, shall we say, result of the Sony pre-order debacle of last week.
yeah.
Remember? You remember?
Yeah, the clusterfuck.
You remember. The
2020.
clusterfuck. That's right. Well, clusterfuck part 1 of 2020. Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Let's be real.
Yeah. Pre-orders for Sony's next-gen console, the PlayStation 5, opened shortly after the company announced its release date and price details. To put it nicely, it was a mess. Retailers went rogue and opened pre-orders early because they said, fuck that. No, that's not in the article, for the record. I'm just saying they said, fuck that. A day ahead on the 17th, a day ahead of the 17th, which was announced by Sony. Sites crashed, people panicked, wondering whether they get their hands on the next-gen console. And as it turns out, Sony has recognized the error of its ways. Quote, let's be honest, PlayStation 5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we will release more PlayStation 5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details, and more PlayStation 5s will be available through the end of the year. Why is this important? Why is this the thing? Well, first off, obviously the way they handle it, and we're going to get into another thing, because you said yourself, Nvidia. Oh, by the way, I have an article for that as well. We can throw in here if you want, but Nvidia also had to apologize as well because their stuff didn't, completely go. But I will definitely, if there's one thing you haven't seen from Sony, because Sony tends to be, lately anyway, tends to be very corporate, right? They only say what they need to say, and the rest of the time they say we do not comment on rumors and speculations. That's pretty much it. But to see them come out and acknowledge their fuck up and hopefully fix it, well, I mean, who knows? I still tried when it opened up today, and there's still none available. So we'll see as time goes on. But yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there that they actually acknowledged it, and interesting.
I think honestly, it was. There was a problem with communication, definitely, and the problem is that it's almost like this could have been fought on all fronts, right? Like, okay, at this time, everybody's gonna open up their websites, and they're gonna start accepting traffic. All right, you guys, and everybody's and that's how we're gonna manage the flow of traffic. Be prepared. Some of us websites are not gonna make it. But my God, this is Sony rallying its troops, right? Yeah. My God, you guys are gonna be the forefront, and we're gonna contain this. and then Sony was like, do not fire until I give the mark. Until I give the mark. Do not open your website. And then I guess the store started to see like the
No, what
influx
happened?
of zombie people that were coming into, and they were rushing coming in. It's like, oh my god, there's too many of them. What do we do? What do we do? And they started like freaking out, and someone just like panic fired and opened,
Walmart.
and suddenly, yes. And suddenly, the all influx of people went in there and took down Walmart. And Best Buy was like, Walmart is down! Walmart is down! We need to assist! Hurry, let's just open up! And Sonny was like, no, wait, guys, it's too early, no! I just made a whole movie of it.
I know, I know. It's better than mine. It's better than mine. I was thinking everybody was sitting on itchy trigger fingers, and then somewhere in the back room in a closet, a freaking a broomstick falls and it startles somebody, opens fire, and then
And then everybody started going
starts
crazy.
shooting. Yeah, yeah. That's how I saw it. But yeah, I like yours better. I like yours better. Bro.
The zombie people coming in, the zombie
Yeah.
horde coming in
Mhm.
to the thing. And of course, they took all the websites down and it was impossible to secure. You know, meanwhile, Microsoft was like above in its high building, looking down, chomping on a cigar and looking down at the masses of horde in their, super mega condo, on the 300th floor, being like, uh, don't you worry, guys. We have a plan. We're gonna let you know exactly when you guys are gonna open. And in spite of that, they're still fucked.
I know. I still messed it up.
Xbox Series X pre-orders are a mess, despite Microsoft promises. Probably unavoidable given the high traffic. This comes as I mean, it sounds to me more like an opinion based from your Polygon, but rather than reporting, but one that rings very, very true because I experienced it myself. I saw how it went when retailers
As did I.
started pre-orders for the PlayStation 5 earlier than Sony said they would. It was pandemonium for customers trying to secure the hardware. The folks at Microsoft must have seen this as an easy dig because the official Xbox account went on to post something about how they would let customers know the exact time of pre-orders, so they shouldn't worry. Lo and behold, the time for Xbox Series X has arrived and it's still a mess. Likely knowing the specific time for pre orders actually didn't help much. GameStop implemented a queue that asked customers to stay in line and not refresh the page.
Yep.
Uh, uh, this seemed to have been a clever ruse, and there's a link that I'm interested in knowing what do they mean. What do I mean? Because I noticed I did that actually today. I noticed that, like you mentioned, PlayStation it had a limited. They want to take orders not for launch day, but for the launch window, I guess, or for the few weeks after GameStop opened up to take more orders. And you go to GameStop.com and it'll tell you, hey, we got you, don't panic. I mean, it doesn't say literally that, but basically letting you know, just relax, just relax. You don't need to you don't need to refresh the page. We'll let you know when it's your turn. And I was thinking like, that's actually, you know what, and I'm coming from the two Nvidia launches and the PlayStation 5. I'm thinking like, man, who would have thought of all people? GameStop gets it. They actually develop a system that is like queuing up online. That's kind of smart. And then I noticed the shenanigans actually that were happening, and it was. I don't think it was a queue at all. I think more than likely it was just the page was refreshing, but at a much lower pace. Rather than have people furiously tapping F5, the website tells you, no, no, please don't tap, don't refresh. We're gonna let you know when it's ready. But in the meantime, all the page is doing is refreshing itself like every 30 seconds or so. And of course, that way it eases up the request that our computers are doing
Access.
to the server, and therefore it opens up an opportunity for people to go in, not because it's your time, but it's but still because luck of the draw, you get to go in, and but still, even with that, even though it was kind of like smoke and mirrors BS, I think it was very smart.
I would agree. That's actually what, like at first I told you I was doing the F5. I was like, come on, you're lying to me. Because they already mentioned, in the prior one, whereas and at some point I was like, okay, I'll let it sit. You know what I mean? And I think maybe 3-4 minutes, suddenly I'm on the page and I can go in. Of course, they're all gone now.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not refreshing, and sure, you'll get your opportunity, but it's very luck of the draw. All they did, they didn't do you any favors. You just decided to refresh slower, and at that point, it was just a raffle. It was like, okay, this IP now,
Yeah.
you go, and then by one point, it was like, oh, sorry, we're all out. But keep waiting. You're still online anyway, so maybe you want to pick up a controller, which I went ahead and did. But
Okay.
no, I didn't. No, I didn't get it for GameStop because at that point I was upset. I was like, oh, fuck you, GameStop. I can see through you. All right, you're still GameStop. But the moment that Amazon that I saw that Amazon had an opportunity, or were offering, not the system, because I know the systems were out, but I wanted the gamepad just to get myself started, because I could use a gamepad with the PC, and it was specifically a gamepad that comes with the little USB majigger that you put on the on the PC, so that you're able to use the control on the PC. That's I pre-ordered that one. By the way, people wondering, why do you need a majigger when you can use Bluetooth? And it turns out that majigger actually is less laggy than Bluetooth is.
Than Bluetooth. Yeah.
So it's good.
Hence the reason
it's good
why.
to have it.
Yeah. Hence the reason why my PlayStation 4. I don't use the old one. I use the newest one. But I know what it is, and I know it's because I have the Wi-Fi setup is not far from it. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I know that's causing some sort of interference. But yeah, I would probably want something a little bit more stable than Bluetooth, because it's annoying.
Yeah. And not to say that Bluetooth is bad, because Bluetooth that's what the Switch uses, that's what the PlayStation uses, and it works. I mean, when was the last time that you had you were complaining about your controller disconnecting or being laggy? So it has a good, it does have a good application. So I guess it depends on that. Anyway, this story is actually from Polygon. So it says that a few Polygon staffers were able to complete their transaction, but if Amazon's handling of the PS5 is any indication, pre-orders weren't always a sure bet to get something on day one. So basically, saying, and I skipped a little bit, but basically saying that, hey, you might have gotten something, but don't count yourself lucky just yet, because, well, actually, I guess you wouldn't be getting on day one already. I guess that much was established, but maybe not on week one either.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I feel weird, because I feel calm about the consoles. The 3080, I needed to get that. I was doing all sorts of planning, but I didn't plan on it for the PlayStation or the Xbox Series S. And for some reason, I'm like, I'll wait. I can. I still, PlayStation 4 will still hold me. PC will still hold me. PlayStation will hold you. And there's there's good games to play, sure, but nothing that.
Yeah, and I'm also confident that if I don't get it by launch, I'm sure I'll get it shortly thereafter. I'm not too concerned with that. And I'm talking about,
if I get it by January, I'm fine, honestly.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. One thing, I don't know if you had that in your particular story, but there was also a story going on that some people may have actually or purchased, should I say, an Xbox One X as opposed to the Series X by accident.
Yes.
On Amazon, apparently the Xbox One X went ranked about 747% higher in sales. So
Well,
just FYI.
in trending. We don't know if it was actually sales, but you got to imagine that if it's trending that much, at least that of that 740 something percent, some of them would have actually become sales, because Microsoft doesn't have its shit together when it comes to this naming convention. It's ridiculous. I mean, what is so difficult about? Well, look at it. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Mommy, I want the PlayStation 5. Oh, they have the 4. No, 5. The last one. Oh, 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you, Billy. Versus, mommy, I want the Xbox Series X. Oh, here we go, Billy. I just happened to get it. They had it already available. What? Yeah, they had it at Walmart. Look, mommy, no, that's the Xbox Series, the Xbox One S. I said Series X. Yeah, this is the X. No, but that's not the right X. No,
Yeah.
but mom.
There's a couple of there's a couple of actual tweets that I had seen. One that says, I was half asleep and ordered an Xbox One X by mistake. Fuck. And then another one was, I happily snagged my Xbox at 8 a.m. from Best Buy. Wonder why it would say it'll be ready on 9:30, only to realize I selected an Xbox One S, not the Series S.
That's ridiculous. That is Microsoft. I hope bad on you. This looks horrible. I was like, I was in the camp of, oh yeah, just call it Xbox. But no, you have to make it an X and an S again for whatever reason, and that just creates so much confusion. Which I guess you don't care which one sell, right? Because at the end of the day, they're still giving you money. But it's bad. It's bad.
Fun fact, also, that happened to me. Like, my original thing came through, and I was like, oh shit, I got one. Cool. And then I looked at it. Luckily, I know what the console looks like. And I was like, yeah, that's a regular one. That was the white Xbox One S is the one. So that was like immediately I was just like, this got me the wrong. But I mean, I was just trying to put it in my cart, and so I was like refreshing and doing everything. And then when I realized I got one in the cart, I looked at it and I was like, that doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I can see people easily, screwing that up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right. My next piece, guys. Speaking of the Xbox Series X, the officially licensed storage expansion card for the Xbox Series X and the S costs an estimated retail price of $219.99.
What?
According to a product listing at Best Buy. Seagate makes the solid state drive, which Microsoft announced, but gave no price for it in March. It's pitched as the, quote, only available expansion card that replicates the Xbox Velocity architecture, end quote. Quote again, faster load times, richer environments, and more immersive gameplay. On the Xbox generation console. Microsoft has promised that all accessories you use on Xbox One will work on Xbox Series X. Oh, Jesus, you're right about these names. This goes for external drives to the USB 3.1, 3.2 connectivity. However, all Xbox Series X games must be installed to the console internal SSD or the Seagate card. USB external hard drives are far slower than the NVMe's SSD, which use the new PCIe 4.0 standard. Let me go scrolling here. PCIe. Excuse me. Series X games can be backed up to a USB internal drive, but can't play from them. So anyway, backwards compatibility, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and Xbox game can still be played on the Xbox Series X if installed on a USB drive. And if you have one piled up with installed games from your Xbox One right now, it will plug and play compatibility starting on November 10th. But Xbox Xbox One games that are optimized for Xbox Series X, like say Gears 5, will be Gears 5 will be, cannot be played off the USB drive and needs to be on the SSD. So if you have it, you need the $219.99 expansion card, which, according to this, says it's a fair price. I don't know. You tell me, sir.
Well, honestly, it's 1 terabyte, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna be fair and say it is. It sounds pricey because 200 $200. I mean, for real. But for a PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD,
Mm-hmm.
that's right now. That's the pricing. I mean, just to give you a comparison, I very recently bought a PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD for what I thought was a good price, which was $179, and it was supposed to be, like a very fast, because PCIe 4.0 is it's a larger, it's basically a larger series of two, no, a larger lane where more data can go. That's what makes it faster, because it's a fatter lane. So that's the interface. That's the whole thing compared with PCIe 3.0, which is what most of the computers use nowadays. Uh, so that's why USB doesn't have that speed yet. I don't think USB 3.0 or 3.1 has that capability just yet. Could be wrong, but if there is USBs that are as fast, they're not going to put it on consoles, because that's just going to drive the price, madly more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the problem. So to be fair, the article is correct. It is fair pricing. Here is the problem. The problem is those drives will go down in price.
Mm-hmm.
This time next year, that same drive is going to
$150.
be 100, probably $100. Well, yeah, let's say 150. To be optimistic, let's say $100.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Microsoft will not bring the price down for that. How do I know that? Well, historically, they haven't done it. When the 360 was out and they had that, I think it was, I don't recall exactly. I want to say 100 gigabytes, but it might be 250. But they had an expansion thing that you could buy, that you could put on the 360 to increase. Actually, I believe it was actually replacing the drive at that point. It was replacing the hard, so it's not like you could add it,
Mm-hmm.
And although I'm still not clear if this is the same situation here with the new consoles, because I haven't been paying that much attention. But back in the day, for years and years and years, Microsoft had that expansion on the same price that as it came out of launch, which was the running joke. It's like, are you crazy? Why would I spend, I want to say it might have been $200 actually,
Yeah, I think they were saying here
for
that the one for the Xbox One, yeah. Mm-hmm.
well, I'm talking about the 360, even going
Oh,
further
shit.
back.
Okay.
Why would I spend that amount of money if I can? And that was just a regular hard drive. That was not NVMe. That was a mechanical hard drive. So people were like, why am I going to spend that money? I'll just go ahead and replace it myself, on or if I cannot replace it myself, sorry, because that's right. You couldn't replace it because it was proprietary. See the something similar here, some
Mm-hmm.
similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on the PS3, you could buy a hard drive and replace it. You didn't. It was not proprietary at all. It even gave you, an easy access to do it. So yeah, it's a fair price right now because the technology is still new. but it's not. It's still too pricey. It's gonna be
It's gonna
considered
stay there.
pricey.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, because it's gonna stay there in price. Yeah, yeah. That sucks. That sucks. Um, you know what doesn't suck? Well, I don't know if it's actually no, it doesn't suck. Why would it suck? This is actually very good news. And for some reason, we're still keeping it on Xbox camp today.
Okay.
um, Xbox Game Pass subscribers leaped by 50% in just 5 months. Uh, so buried in the news, in the megaton news of Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda and Cinemax, which we're going to talk about that on the hot topic, was an eye-opening statistic on Xbox Game Pass subscription growth. And it's funny because a couple of podcasts ago, we were talking about that and we were wondering. So as of this month, Xbox Game Pass now has 15 million subscribers, up from the 10 million figure Microsoft had announced in April. That's a 50% increase in just over 5 months. Obviously, this year has been an attractive one for sitting at home
Mm-hmm.
and burying yourself in a library of games.
Yeah, for sure.
But Microsoft has also improved its Game Pass catalog and marketed it at its core as part of the Xbox console offering. Uh, over the past couple of months, the service has gained heavy hitters such as Red Dead Redemption, Resident Evil 7, and Destiny 2. I think they meant Red Dead Redemption 2 there and forgot to put the 2. But anyway, they have added, some heavy hitters. This month, in the lead up to the launch of the Xbox Series S and X, Microsoft had dropped news of EA Play, formerly EA Access, will also become part of its subscription, which still blows my mind, as if that wasn't enough. And of course, yesterday's or not yesterday, but by this time on Monday's reveal of Bethesda, the big Bethesda and Cinemax news is a huge boon for Xbox Game Pass too. So there's a quote here. Oh, no, anyway, the I agree. If as if it wasn't enough that they were already announcing, we got EA Play or whatever they're calling it, games are now going to be part of Game Pass, which I still don't get how they managed to. It goes to show the pocket,
There's money. There's money
the
behind it.
Microsoft
Yeah.
pocket. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
gonna be it's basically it's brute force. It's
Yeah.
we're just gonna
That's
make these deals
exactly.
because we can.
Mhm.
Um, and now you see it. Now you see it with the addition of Bethesda and Cinemax and all the catalog, which it's a big catalog also. Uh, and meanwhile, on the other cam, you see Sony saying, "Well, we don't have a solution for that, or we don't think that's sustainable." You know, I
Yeah.
feel
They're
like they're gonna
saying,
be.
yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be their. Oh, uh, what was it? The technology they say? Oh, that's from last Rumble. Oh,
Oh, Rumble.
no,
Yeah.
nobody wants Rumble now. Come on, it's all about motion controls, and they have to be shown that no, actually, I feel like this will be a wake up call.
Well, I will remind you that in July, um, July, sometime midsummer, Microsoft went on record saying that this is not a moneymaker for them at the moment. You know what I mean? It's really laying the groundwork for what could be a huge moneymaker in the future.
Yeah.
But for right now, they're, when you look at the numbers, it's like they're practically breaking even at this point, because you remember they're spending a lot of money to get the
Well, with the
library.
acquisitions and all that, hey, I will argue that they're probably not making money right now. That what they're making is an investment.
Correct. Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. This is an investment that they hope pays off in the long run. We'll obviously get more to that in Hot Topic. But yeah, they did come out to say, I want to say it was July or August, something like that. And they were like, it's not a big moneymaker because, again, like you mentioned, the play, how did they get that? Well, they had to pay for it. They had to give money to EA. We don't know how much because that all happened, in a room we weren't in. It happened in the room that it happened. So
what you're saying is that you wanted to be in the room where it happens? Really?
I always do.
You want to be in the room where it happens. The room where it happens.
No one was in that room, so that's why we don't know. We don't know how much of that, but we know there is certainly
nice.
a buy-in from them.
You know what? If we can make it a thing of the podcast where every now we manage to, like, just without nobody noticing and without bringing it to attention, bring up a reference to the play that should not be named.
The play that should not be named. Yes.
I think we have a winner.
Yeah, I think we should. I think
nice one on that one. I liked it, by the way.
Thank you. All right. Well, let's switch camps for a moment, if only a moment. If only a moment.
Nvidia. No, I'm kidding.
No. PlayStation 5, owners interested in Marvel's Spider-Man will reportedly have to repurchase the game in a bundle with Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Damn it, bro.
Yeah.
I thought that we were gonna talk good. We were gonna say something nice because we were already tired of talking about.
We're gonna smear shit all over this, my friend. Even if they own it on PlayStation 4, Spider-Man Remastered, okay, the improved version for the PlayStation 5 will not have any sort of upgrade path from the PlayStation 4 version. Sony reportedly says it also will not have transferable save files from the original game. A Sony representative told Kotaku that, quote, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered is an enhanced version of Marvel Spider-Man and is included as part of the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition for the PlayStation 5. In addition, players who purchased the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales on PlayStation 4 can upgrade at no additional cost to the PlayStation 5 version of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales and can take advantage of the paid upgrade to download Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. Apparently, there are no plans to release a remastered as a standalone. Quote, players with a copy of Marvel Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 can purchase Miles Morales Ultimate Edition to experience Miles Morales or Spider-Man Remastered on PlayStation 5. Marvel Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 will also be backwards compatible on PlayStation 5, but will not take advantage of any of the remaster.
You know what? The funny. First of all, it's bullshit that we're not gonna sell it by itself. Of course you are.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're not gonna make all this work on enhancing something and then and not let people get it. Get an upgrade. Why? Because you're gonna fucking sell it later on. Shut the fuck up. First of all, and second, the funny this is the funny part. It's like it kind of pity also, but it still made me lol a little bit. You remember the all famous the best thing that has come, the absolute best thing that's the marketing thing that Sony has ever done, which was here's the way you share games on the PS4.
Yep.
And they hand the game to the other. Thank you, and that's it. Back when they were poking fun at Microsoft's, it's gonna be the digital only, and you can't lend games. If you want to lend games, you gotta put them as part of your families or this or that or whatever, and not use games and all that. Excuse me. So Microsoft saw fit to make a comment about this. I don't remember how it was exactly, or if there even was a tweet about it, or if they mentioned it some sort of. I think it was a tweet or somewhere, but it was basically like the equivalent of it. It was how easy to to get the next generation of your current game, and it just says just buy it.
Yeah,
Just
it doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same.
no,
I don't know the
obviously
impact,
not.
but yeah,
No,
it's basically
but
the same
you can
thing. Yeah.
tell that they were like dying to bring it up. Like you can say that they were high fiving at the end of that.
Yeah, for
Like oh
sure,
my god, yeah, yeah. I'll
for sure.
just buy it. Which is, I
Yeah.
mean, it rings true because when you think about it, the whole thing that Microsoft have been touting is about this, and this is for better or for worse. I personally think that it's kind of like fucking them over a little bit also, but it looks good, so that's why they're doing it. Um, they're saying, well, you could buy the version now, and you'll guarantee the next version on our first party titles or
Hmm.
whatever. You guarantee the next version. He, you have Sony being like, nope, no, you got the version, you got the version. It's almost like when we were shitting on oh my god, who was it? What was the game that Control actually,
Oh, 505. Yeah. Hmm.
we were shitting on 505 for, oh, so you mean to tell me that I need to rebuy Control because what was that excuse? They ran the scenarios and they couldn't find a
They
way
can't
where
find a
to
way
make it work. So bull-
financially. No. Yeah.
so- yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my god. And Sony, you have to. I mean, arguably, you have this console war won. All you gotta do is don't go back to be an asshole. Because if you do that, you might get an unsavory surprise. I mean, movements are happening on the other camp that we weren't thinking that they were going to happen, because we were up to very recently we were thinking like, oh, Sony has like 13 studios. Like, what does Microsoft have? Well, guess fucking what? Now Microsoft has 23 studios,
Hmm.
and from titles that are already like well known and loved and expected, and now they're the key holders being like, yeah, we can continue releasing this on all the consoles, of course, if you behave. It's almost like Sony, you have this battle. Like the last thing you want to do is that meme, not that meme, because that actually happened. This guy that these two racers that, or on a race, on a running race, and this guy started celebrating already that he won, and meanwhile this kid that came from behind, he had a problem starting up, and he just ran and ran and ran and ran and ran, and he just took with it at the very end, and he got the first place after this guy was already celebrating on some
Hmm.
Olympics that happened. So I don't know if you see
Yeah,
the
I remember
video.
that.
But
I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that. It's
yeah,
happened in
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of places, but yeah, yeah.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, be careful with with this.
I
I
agree.
know this is small. This is small. I mean, it's only
And it's not
Spiderman.
unheard of too. It's not unheard of.
It's unheard of.
Activision did it with the remaster of Modern Warfare, right?
Yes,
Originally, oh no, you can't get
exactly,
it unless you
exactly.
buy it. Yeah, unless you buy the new game, you're not gonna be able to get it. And what happened? Maybe a year later,
Yeah,
the remaster was available on as a $20 or $30 purchase, and then
yeah,
maybe a year after that, guess what? It was on PlayStation Plus. So yeah, we all know
exactly.
it's going to happen. So
You don't want to be associated with
Activision,
Activision.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Whose turn is it? Because I feel like we've been. I'm telling you, man, this is gonna be like a 5-hour show. Shit.
I'm
Uh,
going to run through these last few, but it is your turn, sir.
okay, okay, okay. Well, shit. No Man's Sky. It actually had a drop very recently. As a matter of fact, it dropped today. I want to say. Sorry, no, on Wednesday. No Man's Sky update 3.0, and it updates the entire universe. Since this year began the sorry, since this year began the procedurally generated space opera, No Man's Sky has added living spaceships exomechs, creepy derelict freighters, bubbleheads, and crossplay between PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Oh, that's right. That's right. All of this was just this year, guys.
Yeah.
Today, developer Hello Games caps off 2020 with Origins, a massive update that adds billions of new planets to discover, ups the diversity of flora and fauna, adds new weather systems and dramatic terrain types, and basically changes everything. The new lighting conditions, new colors, new creatures, and new weather. Uh, Planets with alien infestations, swamps, and marshlands, massive alien buildings reaching into the sky, filled with stories of ancient civilizations, gravitational shifts, volcanoes, uh, rogue robots. Holy hell, the Origins update for No Man's Sky is massive. And if you want to Google the patch notes, it is ridiculous. I think Sean Murray has finally popped. I think he went insane. I think the traumatic experience that he had when people start calling him a liar and you know this is a joke and No Man's Sky was on the bargain bins and people were super upset. He really took this to heart. If you remember, there was a moment that there was no communication whatsoever from him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was just laying, and you know what? It was not even his team. He was by himself in his room, in his house. He was just furiously writing his plan. His next, like everything that's gonna have to make this probably the best game that people hope it'll be. And he achieved this like a couple of three patches ago,
Oh,
or
wow,
I should
yeah.
say, of expansions ago. All right, now he's just out of control. Now he wants to turn No Man's Sky into the freaking Oasis system from Ready Player One, if you let him, because that shit has VR. I have you know,
Yeah.
and crossplay with between all ecosystems and everything like that. Um, it's kind of insane, It's
It's
kind of
also
like
commendable. I mean, it's
oh,
commendable.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm making this. I'm making this in old joke and all, but I have to really admire. Like I don't think I have ever done a 180 on an individual as hard as I have done this one. It's like this is a beautiful story of redemption that you haven't seen since the Shawshank Redemption, which was also a true story.
Which
This this is, I mean, yeah, you just said it. This is more than commendable. It
mhm.
is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. Someone take him away.
Oh, he's working with, yeah. We said last week he's working on something new, so he
Yeah,
hasn't
he said
announced
he's
it
working
yet.
on something new, and he
Yeah.
said, yeah, "I learned my lesson. We're not gonna be talking about it early, and we're not gonna be and good for him because I honestly believe. I mean, he's more than demonstrated it. I honestly believe that this time he's gonna keep his mouth shut. He's gonna. I mean, he will still do like the interview when there's some major milestone or something to announce, but it's not gonna be about the hype. It's not
Agreed.
gonna be about the hype.
Yeah,
So
that's good
that's
stuff.
really great.
My next piece is a twofer to try to get
Ooh,
two little
two
ones
for one.
into a big one, but they're related. Square Enix remaster of the original Nier, known in
Oh, now
full
you're
as
talking like
Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139, is
I'm
coming
sorry.
to
What was that again?
PlayStation 4.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear the
Uh,
name of it. That's sorry.
it's known as version 0.1.22 for short. So
Two repeating. To the
it's
power
coming
of
to
10.
PlayStation 4, Windows PC, Xbox One on April 23rd of 2021. The game creators announced the release date during a near-centric live stream titled "We Have a Decent Amount of New a decent amount of new info, which now appears accurate. Near Replicant version 1.22 is an update to the 2010 game Near Replicant. In the West, the game was simply known as Near and told the story of a father searching for a cure for his daughter. However, the upcoming remaster Near Replicant will follow the original Japanese version of the story, which invites players into the dark, apocalyptic world as they join a brother's captivating quest to cure his sister of a deadly disease. In addition to the standard version of the game, Square Enix is also releasing the deluxe version called the White Snow Edition. White Snow Edition includes a copy of the game along
Done.
with a
Pre-order.
steelbook, along with a steelbook case, 3 pins based on white, black, and crimson books, a 7-volume set of the game's recording script, and a 2 CD soundtrack set that comes in a grimoire style package. The White Snow Edition. I was going to say Snow White. The White Snow Edition comes in
It wouldn't
deluxe
be hard.
packaging. It's available for pre-order in Japan for 19,800 yen, which is about $188, and will come to North America.
Cancel.
Yeah, and will come to North America for an unspecified price. They're going to figure that shit out. That that is
I'll get
part one.
I'll get the digital deluxe version.
Yeah, there you go. That is part one. The second part, Square Enix original mobile game based on Near Reincarnation, is coming to North America and Europe. The developer confirmed in a live stream again on Thursday during the same Near-centric live stream. Players will be led by a ghost-like character named Mama Matsukawa. And traverse a space called the Cage and collect pieces of weapons memory. Anyway, it is going to be available. Near Reincarnation, originally announced in March, will be released for Android and iOS platforms. It's a gacha style game, meaning players will be able to acquire weapons, equipment, and other in-game goods through random chance.
And money.
No.
And real world microtransactions, probably, because it's a mobile game. That's usually what they do.
Most likely.
Yeah. Well, it's Square, so Square tends to charge exorbitant prices for mobile games. So it could also not be that.
Yeah, it could just be a $30 buy-in. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, I'll probably pay for it too. Oh, dude, how are we gonna why is this not the opener of the news? Amazon unveils new cloud gaming service, and the name is Luna.
Oh.
Yes. I bet you didn't know about this. Actually, you're just learning of it right now. Luna is designed for instant play on a variety of devices. Amazon is throwing its hat into the cloud gaming ring with Luna, a new game streaming technology that's coming for PCs, mobile devices, and Amazon's own Fire TV hardware. Starting today, customers in the US can request an invitation for early access to Luna. Amazon's announced on its devices event on Thursday. Actually, yeah, yesterday. Luna will be playable on Fire TV, Mac, and Windows PC, and on Android and iOS mobile devices. Amazon specifies that iOS platforms will access Luna through a web app, seemingly the company's solution to Apple's prohibited rules for cloud-based game streaming via the Apple Store. Lol. Amazon will offer subscriptions to game channels through Luna, one of which is called Luna Plus. Oh my god, how original. Luna Plus. I'm surprised they didn't call it Luna Prime.
That would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Right. That will feature games such as Resident Evil 7, Control, Panzer Dragoons, A Plague Tale Innocent, The Surge 2, The Surge, I should say, Yooka-Laylee, and The Impossible Lair, Iconoclast, Grid, Abzu, and Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. More titles will be added over time, Amazon said in a new release. Luna Prime, Luna Plus will cost $5.99 a month during Amazon's early access period, and the company promises that subscribers can play on two devices simultaneously with 4K resolution and 60 frames per second refresh rates for select titles. They had to specify, of course. Amazon is also partnering with Ubisoft to create a gaming channel specific to that publisher. Subscribers will get access to their favorite Ubisoft titles in up to 4K resolution, mobile gameplay, and access to new titles when the channel launches. And they gave a few titles that will be coming. There'll be like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry 6,
Hmm.
and Immortals Phoenix Rising the same day they release. Amazon says uh, the Ubisoft Luna channel is one of multiple channels in development that will get players access to games by publisher and genre. Luna also connects to other Amazon owned devices, other services like Twitch. Uh, in a feature that sounds similar to Google Stadia's integration with YouTube, Luna users will be able to jump into games directly from Twitch streams. There's a little bit more that's important to mention. Games can be played through Luna using a keyboard and mouse or a Bluetooth game controller, an Amazon-owned Luna controller. Luna will also support Xbox One controller and the DualShock controller. The Luna controller will be available for an introductory price of $49.99. And then there's a quote that says, it connects directly to the cloud to effortlessly control your game, featuring a multiple antenna design that prioritizes uninterrupted Wi-Fi for lower latency gaming. So in other words, they have a similar solution like Google Stadia has for the controller. Remember Google Stadia?
I remember it being some sort of cloud-based thing that is still a thing. I think maybe
I
I don't know.
think it might be a thing still, but I don't know because it's owned by Google and they tend to kill
Yeah,
stuff
exactly. What
early.
do they know about gaming, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Amazon said its testing showed a reduction in round trip latency when playing when playing with the Luna controller with Cloud Direct versus Luna controller via Bluetooth, with reductions of between 17 to 30 milliseconds among PC, Fire TV, and Mac. Because Luna controller connects directly to the cloud server, players can easily switch between screens, such as Fire TV to mobile phone, without additional pairing or configuration changes. Luna will be powered by Amazon's Web Services (AWS) technology. International availability of the service was not announced yet. Amazon's take on clouds gaming sounds similar, if not nearly identical, to Google's take with Stadia, with the major exception that Luna's game channels will let users subscribe instead of purchasing individual games or pay for a pro tier of streaming quality. So, sir, Amazon got their games going on, huh? Streaming the service.
Yeah,
We see
I
the
don't know.
is streaming the next motion controls, or
I honestly,
did it
I
ever?
honestly, yeah,
Did it
I
ever
honestly
get?
think that is yes. It's and I don't think it's the next motion control. I think it was already the next. Like we're already kind of past that. You know what I mean? Like Game
Mhm.
Pass, sure, you can stream, but do you really want to? No, you would want to download it, put it in the system so that it plays properly. You don't have to worry about, freaking lag and all this other stuff that happens when you're streaming. So, yeah, I honestly, and I know that we know
We
that,
know.
Google, dear Lord, whatever it was called, Stadia,
Yeah.
saying we know that it was supposed to be the better version of it, but if it really is, we would know more of it and people would be speaking more of it,
Yeah.
and the reality is no one's talking about it. You know what I mean? No one's talking about it. It got completely lost. The only thing I remember seeing, I want to say it was at a Ubisoft event, where you had a representative from Stadia on there. Oh, and this game will be coming to Stadia. So that's the biggest news we have for Stadia. A game is coming to Stadia. Good shit.
Wow. How the press is.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, that's wonderful. It will also be coming to everywhere else. But yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Let me see.
So not impressed, for the record. Not impressed.
No, I mean, we have to remember also Microsoft has its eye also. It's keen on the xCloud. Yeah. Exactly. They're not just because
which is already launched.
Exactly. Fortunately, it's another thing that we just don't hear much about. Like we don't hear, like our group is nobody's talking about. Oh man, I'm playing this game on GameCloud, and it's kind of like it almost feels like a solution to a problem that's not there.
Correct. Well, it's not that it's a problem, but a solution to an option that we're not ready yet. I don't think the infrastructure in the U.S. is ready to handle that type of thing. So it's offering an option or offering a solution to this option where people are like, well, that's cool, but am I really going to play this on my phone? Or am I really going to play this on my tablet? Or do I want to play it on the freaking 70-inch TV that I spent $1,500 on?
Yeah.
I don't want to play it there. I want to use all the speakers, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't need to spend that much for a TV, but even an $800 TV will be way better with better sound and everything than playing it on your tablet. So anyway, my final twofer. Sorry. My final twofer. We're going to step out of the games for a brief moment and talk about some movies. Marvel Studios has announced another delay for the next installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do you believe that's still a thing? I felt like that ended. That's just me. Anyway, as reported by Variety, Black Widow, starring Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, and Harvard Daber, and also Rachel Weisz, is now set to release in theaters on May 7th of 2021, making 2020 the first year without an MCU installment since 2009. It's quite the streak. The movie, set after the events of Civil War, I'm not going to talk about the damn movie. Black Widow moved from November 6th, a spot originally occupied by the Eternals, while the Eternals moved to February 12th, 2021, originally occupied by Shang-Chi. So the movie releases now look like this: November 5th, 2021, The Eternals; July 9th, 2021, Shang-Chi; February 18th, 2022, Thor: Love and Thunder; March 25th, 2022, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's way too long of a name. And May 6th of 2022, Black Panther 2. That's going to be interesting. That is definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah. I was going to say the name.
Multiverse of
Madness. That sounds too long, and also just by the sound of it, like it doesn't sound like any. You know how the forgot what I'm trying to say, the faces, whatever is it, faces
phase 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4. They have particular movies that were pillars, for the whole thing. And you have the movie with different heroes, but you have particular ones that were like, but if you want to know the saga, you need to see this. You need to make sure that you don't miss this, And granted, most of them were the actual Avenger movies themselves. But what I'm trying to say is that when you have a title like that on Doctor Strange, it makes it sound like, okay, so this is gonna be like Ant-Man 2, You want to see it because it's Marvel and you don't want to miss it, but it's not a pillar, It's
not, although I would argue that the quantum theory thing that they had going in Ant-Man 2 is what led to them figuring out how to go back in time.
Yeah, so true. Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
This would be more like the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that had 0 points in the entire thing.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes any excitement for it.
My, and the last of the two for when Zack Snyder announced that he partnered with Warner Media to produce a new cut of 2017's Justice League, the director indicated that the project could be accomplished with existing footage, digital touch-ups, and some new recorded dialogue. Now, more than 3 years after its premiere, Justice League is going back to reshoots. Reported by the Hollywood Reporter. Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher will return for about a week of reshoots, according to the Hollywood Reporter. This is notable, not least because of the ongoing dispute between Warner Brothers and Fisher. The actor has alleged that Joss Whedon, who stepped into the rewrite and finished production on Justice League when Snyder stepped down from the project, cultivated an abusive on-set environment, and that his misconduct was enabled by then Warner Brothers executive John Berg and Jeff Johns. With new footage comes, of course, new costs. The Wraps reports with the new budget for Snyder's recut Justice League is now $70 million, up from the estimated $20 to $30 million, which was projected back in May. So that's $70 million on top of what they originally spent for whatever Justice League cost back then. The final version of Snyder's cut will debut on HBO Max sometime in 2021. Snyder has indicated that his version of Justice League could be up to 4 hours long. Now that we know that there's reshoots, I kind of guarantee we're going to have a few more episodes. It is broken up into episodes, for the record. May premiere on the streaming service in television event-like segments. So they call it the Snyder Cut because that was originally what was filmed. Clearly, it's not a cohesive thing he had going. That you obviously had to go back and patch in stuff that makes sense. You know what I mean? So
that's what we do now with movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. You can patch anything at this point.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. If I have a cake that never rose because I used the wrong thing, I just put in a patch. Boom. Back to the right size. Yeah. That's the way it should work nowadays.
You just hit it later on when this is the complete cut anyway.
That's all I got, sir.
I was gonna say now, Disney, if you're listening, you have a movie there that is in dire need of major reshoots, if not a complete retcon. Can you please do something about Rise of Skywalker or whatever the hell? Start by changing the title.
Here's the problem. The problem is that I think we saw the results of reshoots. So it is already fucked up because of reshoots. We'd have to go in and edit, and it's just fuck.
That's what I said. Just recon it and do something. I mean, that movie is just too foobar. So at this point,
I agree.
I'm bingo on news, so I think we can wrap it up here.
All right, cool. So we'll be right back with our hot topic. And guys, we are back with our hot topic of the week.
Hot topic!
As we mentioned, guys,
I'm alive. Go ahead.
As we mentioned, Microsoft broke the internet when they acquired ZeniMax Media. I'm going to read this. This is sort of an amalgamation from several articles, so props to all the people who wrote it. I just don't know who you are. The move marks a significant purchase in the gaming world and strengthens Microsoft Xbox lineup ahead of its new launch in November. Microsoft Xbox team significantly expanded its list of game development studios on Monday, announcing the purchase of ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion in cash. Pausing. Very important to note here, this is this is in money that they just had to spend. Okay, this is not, hey, we're going to give stock options, we're going to, give back a certain amount. There's no funny whatever. This is just a straight up purchase with cash. The entertainment company owns several industry leading game developers, including Bethesda Softworks, the maker of the post-apocalyptic Fallout games and the fantasy series Elder Scrolls. It also owns id Software, known for Doom, Rage, and Wolfenstein shooting game franchises. The move grows the number of in-house Xbox game development studios to 23, up from 15 just a week ago, giving it control of some of the game industry's most popular franchises. Microsoft also plans to run Bethesda as its own division. This is very important, with leadership and structure intact. I'm going to pause there. I have a lot of notes and shit here, but I'm going to pause there for a moment, sir. And first start with, where were you when you heard the news? When you heard the news that the gaming industry has changed from what we've ever heard? First off, I also want to say this is the largest in the, I want to say it's what, 50, 60 years gaming industry, roughly? The largest purchase of anything in the history of the gaming industry. Okay,
that is insane.
Yeah.
That is insane.
And most likely will be like that for a long time going forward. I mean, if we go back a few years, Star Wars was bought for 4 point something million. Yeah, by Disney. So anyway, where were you, sir? What were you doing? What did you drop
up
when you heard?
Listen, I woke up at 9 o'clock to get ready for work on Monday morning, and usually, my wife's already up. She's making coffee, and I need to check the news. So when I I grab my phone, and the first thing I see is the news that Microsoft acquired Bethesda and Cinemax for $7 gajillion dollars, which it just dawned right now that you mentioned it, that it was in cash.
In cash, yes.
I believe I immediately texted you like, bro, like, this is Megaton.
Yeah,
or some shit. Like, I don't even, I'm trying to go back into it to see what exactly I measured and at what time it was, because believe me, that was when I realized, when it dawned that this has happened. I gotta talk to someone. I don't care if he's sleeping. I know that he woke up late or something. I know he's on vacation. He's not awake. You need to hear me out.
I did, and I didn't see it until I got up, for the record. But when I did get up, I was just like, and I think you put in there like, I think we have our HT for the week. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yes, we do. And I'm not even sure if we can I'm not even sure we can continue the podcast after this. I'm not even sure if anything in the gaming industry makes sense. So what does this mean? First off, let's really look at the studios that they acquired. First off, Bethesda Studios, as you know, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, right? id Software. Oh, and by the way, they also acquired id Tech, which is theirs. Okay, so that's a thing. I think a lot of people didn't put that together, and I'm just like, yeah, id Tech is probably one of the most sought out things when it comes to first person shooters. Oh, and by the way, Microsoft owns that shit now. Okay. On top of all that,
we're talking about the edge of the power, like many, because Unreal became a big thing, right? As an engine, but the id engine was also very well used. It wasn't until Bethesda acquired Doom that started almost hoarding it down. Like, oh no, why should we license it when we can be using it for our advantage and stuff? But yeah, that it technology you know that that's gonna be used for like the next Halo game. Hell, does they even need to have a Halo game? They have fucking Doom.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We'll get into whether that'll remain on that end, even though
Right.
it should. But anyway, they acquired them, right? So we have we have Machine Gun Games, which is Wolfenstein. All of Wolfenstein's everything that they've done. I'm sure they've done another one. I can't think of it right now. But then you have Arcane Studios. And then you have Tokyo GameWorks, which is is that the name of them? Yeah, I think that's the name of them. Tango GameWorks, excuse me. Tango GameWorks. They have a game called Ghostwire Tokyo. Sorry.
Yes.
My bad. And then so those are the 5 major ones. Of course, they have ZeniMax Online, which is responsible for ESO.
Yeah.
And then they have 2 small companies which are mostly responsible for the some mobile games and stuff like that. So they acquired all this. On top of that, all the IP, as we mentioned, everything that's I think the most impressive acquisition part of what they did here. It's one thing to acquire the talent. It's another thing to acquire established franchises. Fallout, Doom, to a lesser extent, Dishonored, Prey, Wolfenstein. These big names, they have acquired them all. On top of that, they also acquired Bethesda's publishing arm, or ZeniMax publishing arm. So they have a separate publishing thing that they now own. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So all of that came together with this $7.5 billion purchase. It is a very, very powerful move. It bolsters the Game Pass, right? Because we already heard literally since this thing, we've already know, hey, Doom Eternal's coming to Game Pass. Already, we already heard that.
They're already talking about. Yeah, they already mentioned it.
Correct. So, and we know more. As things come out, we know that more will be coming to Game Pass. So, it is an amazing power move that I think only Microsoft would be able to do, because realistically, Microsoft is a $1.5 trillion company, which I just looked up recently. I was like, holy shit. Well, of course they can afford $7 billion when they're working with $1.5 trillion.
They're in the trillions, already. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like to set the stage, that for reasons that we're not gonna get into on this podcast specifically, but that TikTok was for sale, right? Or basically they had to be, and the musings were that Microsoft was the bidder on it, that was going to acquire, Microsoft was going to acquire TikTok, and whatever you feel about TikTok or about the current situation or whatever, it's a powerful social platform, right? Well, Oracle just came, I guess, out of nowhere and just stole them, right? Basically, just grabbed them and acquired them instead. And Microsoft just felt like, I feel like maybe it was so angry that it just needed to rebound it somehow. I'd be like, oh yeah, then, fuck it, we'll just get. And they looked at ZeniMax, which was, she was moderately hot, and they just went and put a ring on it, and next thing you know, you wake up to a very great job on keeping this a secret, mind you. There were no leaks of this whatsoever.
I was going to say, I don't think this was something as funny as that sounds, and as easily a picture that can be painted that, they said, well, fine, if you take TikTok, then we're just fucking taking ZeniMax. It's like, no, this was something that was this is something that has to be in the works for months before they can even make the announcement.
But it amazes you, like nobody saw it, even though you see the not the musings, but there were little hints thrown here and there when you look at the past history of it. But no, but you know what? No, not even because when you think about it, I think Cinemac had. I know they had a history of some marketing partnerships with
Yeah.
Xbox, let's say,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I want to say that just as such, they had them with Sony also. So
They
I don't
did.
know.
Yeah.
This was
They still do.
complete. They still do
Technically.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. They
Yeah.
have time exclusives coming, which are gonna be honored. According to if this goes to show that I'm blanking on his name right now, but it's because I'm kind
Phil
of in
Spencer.
shock. Phil Spencer,
Mhm.
you know, like there's just like you said, that's a power move, but only one that could all be orchestrated by a man of that caliber. Someone that has a strategic a strategy to bring the console from the the platform from basically the ground where the previous administration left it,
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
its TV bullshit and stuff like that. Because when you consider, sure, they're not first place or anything like that, but they have come a long way,
They have. Yeah.
and they have made some moves that you know that have given them, if at the very least, the grace of some players, be like, well, that's cool. You're actually letting Minecraft be open, on everything, even on Nintendo, even on Sony, even though you
Oh,
could just
that's
very well
yeah.
just close it up, because it's
That
your
is the
property,
yeah. That becomes the what has been called
for
the
example.
$7.5 billion question, right? Now that Microsoft is poised to take control of ZeniMax and everything in its portfolio. For the
Mhm.
record, Microsoft says that the deal is expected to close in the second half of 2021's fiscal year, which runs from January through June 30th of
True.
2021.
Mhm.
Will future Bethesda games be exclusives to Windows PC and Xbox, or will they be also released on platforms like PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch?
Mhm.
The answer for now is it depends.
Yeah, they're basically
uh,
saying they're basically saying it's gonna be looked at on a case by case basis.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah. Speaking to Bloomberg, following the announcement of the acquisition, Xbox chief Phil Spencer said that future Bethesda game will be released on PC and Xbox and via, of course, the Game Pass subscription service. As for third-party platforms, Spencer said, "quote We'll take other consoles on a case-by-case basis." The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, told Bloomberg, "When we think about strategy, whether it's in gaming or any other part of Microsoft, each layer has to stand on its own for what it brings." Ellipsis. When we talk about our content, we want our content to be broadly available. There were a couple of interviews and comments. Pete Hines, Todd, I forgot his name now. Todd
Howard.
something last name. Todd Howard. Thank you. Phil Spencer, in all of their, particularly Pete Hines, in all of their interviews, they mention bringing it to the widest audience as possible.
Mm.
Everything that they do. Pete Hines mentioned that nothing is really changing on their end. They're still publishing their games. They're still operating in their stuff. So it leads to the question. We do know that Ghostwire and I forgot what the other one is. Dear Lord,
Oh,
Ghostwire,
that's
and let me
gonna
look
happen.
at.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the one I'm not. It's one that I'm not really interested in, but
The other game that
the other
the
game.
one with the that
Oh
looks
my
kind of
god.
funky, like
Yeah,
in the literal sense. Oh my
can't
goodness.
believe I cannot remember this name.
With
Jesus
this
Christ.
with this the
I'm got it in front of me.
games. It's not gonna give me
I
the
cannot
answer.
believe.
Well, while you look at it, if I might say something in the meantime, uh,
Deathloop. There it
Deathloop.
is.
There you go.
Deathloop,
Okay. All
and
right. There you
Ghostwire. So we
go. All
know that those are timed exclusive, and they have mentioned, even Phil Spencer has mentioned that they're going to honor that. So that really takes the majority, or at least to the second half of 2021. So, if they do decide to wall off a lot of these properties, we won't really see any of that until much later on. But what do you think, sir? Do you think that this is something that Microsoft will do? Do you think they will just keep it as open as it can be anyway? Because it is what it is. What do you think?
Well, obviously, they wouldn't be making moves like this if it wasn't to bolster their platform, right? But we already established that their platform is not Xbox. The
No.
platform is gaming. It's in general. It's
More
bringing it up.
specifically, Games Pass. Is there a
A Game
platform?
Pass specifically, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. What I can see happening here, this can actually play one or two ways, because you don't say a case by case. A case by case means we don't know yet, but we
Mhm.
don't want to say we don't know yet. Because obviously we're still a public facing company, and we don't want to sound like complete idiots or anything like that. Uh, what they're basically saying is that we're still studying the situation, but obviously it needs to give the advantage to its own home, right, to its own camp. Whereas that means not exclusive but time exclusives, or whether that means release everywhere but the better versions, or the versions that are mostly supported, or the version that includes Spider-Man, it's gonna be on our console. You know that it's the the question is, will the other consoles, well, the other console will be what, Nintendo and Sony in reality, because PC is gonna get the support no matter what, obviously. But does Sony get does Sony game Microsoft games now? Well, if it fits the the particular market of the game, for example, ESO, sure, it's an MMO. This already has an established player base on PlayStation. Why do they need to break it? Why do they need to close it? They saw an opportunity, just like they saw with Minecraft. It's an already established platform. Why do we need to close it down? Uh, Now the future ones. Well, that's the bigger question. The future ones could be like, this could be at the very least, this could be a time exclusive, but they don't have to. See, that's the rub. They honestly don't have to. I feel like this could be them showing Sony that we also have studios now. Oh, by the way, I have my studios now. you know, and the future of of a game like what Elder Scrolls.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see Elder Scrolls sells gangbusters like crazy.
It does.
No reason to close it. To close it down. If it's gonna make them gajillion dollars. But then again, some might argue, well, Sony could be doing the same. Obviously, there's an established thing on the other side. Why don't they? Obviously, they see a value on keeping the properties to themselves.
Correct. Well, yes, I think the two camps sit on two completely different viewpoints, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
will.
they have completely different philosophies,
Yeah,
because the philosophy of Microsoft is more open,
yeah,
and
but
yeah. So the
also
possibility is there that, yes, Doom 3 or whatever they call it, uh, it's gonna be on Sony, but it's not a given.
it is
And
not a given. But I would argue that, considering, now, again, I get it. They obviously had cash to pay for this, and I get that. But it's still an investment. This 7.5 billion that they just paid for the company, when you want to look at the returns, how do you get those returns? How do you get that fast enough? Do you get it by walling it off on your particular thing that, and let's be real, they're putting their chips on Game Pass. So Game Pass is $10-15 a month. That they do have now 15 million subscribers, up from 10 just in the year at this point. But even at that point, they were sort of breaking even. So if you're sort of breaking even, and now you just put your 7.5 million in the hole, 7.5 billion in the hole, how do you make that money back? And I get that they're a $1 trillion company. I get that, but we all know how business works. And business works, if you're going to invest in something, then we need to see a return on it. How do you secure that return? Well, you secure that return by putting it everywhere. And it's like now, and you still have your people, you still have your service that will tempt more, because let's be real. Let's say Doom 3 comes out for PlayStation 5 and for Xbox Series X and S, whatever. You have the option. If you're on PlayStation 5, you pay $70 for it. Or if you're on the Series X and you're already a member, it'll just be available when it comes out. You know what I'm saying? That is, well,
it'll be a cold day in hell when Sony lets Microsoft have a Game Pass on Sony.
No, I know that. Oh, I know that's not going to happen. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if you're on PlayStation and they don't have Game Pass, clearly we know that that's not going to happen, because that would be So I think that's a bridge too far. There are some reports and some theories that I saw that I think eventually Sony may have Game Pass. I think that's a bridge too far. For now, it is okay. Doom will be available on Xbox and will be available on PlayStation 5. But to the gamer, it's, do I pay $70 or do I pay the service? You see what I'm saying? So, and to Microsoft, they win either way, right? You have your hardcore PlayStation fans like, I am not paying for an Xbox. I am not paying for this, whatever. I will pay the $70. Well, that's fine. Microsoft makes that money. And if you do happen to say, fuck it, I'll buy an Xbox and I'll get the Game Pass, well, Microsoft makes that money. It doesn't matter where you go for it. You're still giving the money back to them. If you wall off PlayStation side, then you're just leaving money on the table. Why would you want to do that when you just invested $7.5 billion? It only makes sense to them to have it available everywhere.
Doesn't it? It's almost like exclusivity is not really great after all, right? Like all that talk that we were having about, but the companies need to secure their own stable because
it depends.
It's almost like
it depends, because for Sony,
how is this different?
Okay, if this was Sony's version, like I can guarantee you right now, if Sony had bought ZeniMax, which I think from what I've saw, there's no way they could afford ZeniMax. But if they were to like magically get loans and shit and fucking whatever,
or if it was a rush, like a fire sale for some reason,
freaking reason, I guarantee you that Sony would make all those properties exclusive. Why? Because that's Sony's game. Sony's game is, the only way we get people to get our console is to have an exclusive and a reason for them to buy it. Microsoft is not playing that game. They're playing a different game. They're going service-wise. We want them to come to us for this. That's the reason why. That's what I'm trying to say is, if that's why it's important for Sony to have exclusives, because if they don't, then there's no reason to come to them, right? Especially now with a service like Game Pass.
Right. No, and I agree with that. With the fact that Microsoft is a service company, Sony is still their competitor, though. And if they were playing very hardcore with the exclusivity stuff for the games, I think this is Microsoft now flexing its muscles and saying, well, actually, we can play this game too. And guess what? We have more muscle than you, because last time I checked.
They absolutely do, and they can do that. But then then again, you're putting yourself slowly into the red, because you got to start making some of that money back. That's why. That's the only reason why I think that they'll do it.
Right, but they can still make their money. They can still make their money back, and on top of that, bring up a
How are they
platform
going to make
that
the
a
money?
lot of people
That's my question.
well, the same way that securing exclusive evidently magically makes a company, more money, right? If suddenly, and I'm gonna use this term, but I don't mean like starve, because it's not like Sony's not gonna be missing, a lot of it's not a huge I mean, it is a big deal, but this is not killing Sony. Let's make it clear, right? They're not
No,
starving Sony or
no.
anything like that, but they are definitely bolstering their, their studio
Their lineup.
lineup.
Yeah.
And they're not, and I don't feel like for the near future, yes, they already have the games that are coming out for Sony, and some games will make sense. This is the reason why you don't see right now in the current, you don't see all the games that Microsoft produce be out there on every console, on every platform. You see Minecraft. You just see the one title that has the potential of bringing a lot of freaking money. That's why I
Mhm.
say I agree with you. They're not gonna be close up. Sony would have made it close up no matter what,
Oh yeah,
because like you said,
that
they
would have
need
been their
to,
move. Yeah. Hmm.
but Microsoft will see the opportunity when they see the opportunity to make it. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the entire stable of titles.
No, I
That
agree.
doesn't
Like
mean that
Elder
that
Scrolls.
the all the
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
all the IPs. ESO, for example,
Elder
um,
Scrolls, like
Elder,
and not
Elder
just
Scrolls,
online, but also like the
absolutely,
Elder Scrolls 6, maybe even Fallout. Those are major titles
maybe,
that
right.
everyone plays. You know what I'm saying? So I can see them using those. Other titles that are like maybe arcane specific titles, no, those will be
Mhm.
exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah,
Easily, you can say
or
that. Yeah.
and they can get, they can get, the Wolfensteins, for example.
Wolfenstein, yeah, that can be
uh
walled up.
they,
Hmm.
so they have, so that's their play, but it has to be something at
But
the
in that
level
case,
of ESO,
in
or
that
not,
case,
sorry,
true,
of
true,
Elder Scrolls,
yeah, or Fallout, yeah, the big ones,
or
the
Fallout,
major
yeah,
pillars, yeah,
not
yeah.
Fallout Online, but not Fallout
The
76.
the no, nobody wants. And I have something to talk about that because I was wondering one of my well, anyway, I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But no, but that again, that statement you just made, where it's like, okay, so some of them they can see the ones that make sense, but the other ones they should keep exclusive. Well, why would they do that? Because exclusives are important. It's
Yeah,
just that simple. You have to have a reason to come over to it. Period. And
unfortunately,
that's what
that's the sad truth, and I oppose to
yeah,
it.
it's the
Don't get me
reason why
wrong.
Epic Games makes things exclusive for a little while.
I don't want. I don't like in any way the idea of Microsoft. I like the idea of Microsoft being competitive, suddenly having flexing its muscle. I love that. Why? Because that gives a reason to Sony not to sleep on its
Not to
laurel.
sit down. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yep, yep.
you can't just be,
Can't sleep at the
you know,
wheel. Yeah, you
exactly.
gotta keep on top of stuff. Yep. Mhm.
Exactly. That's the reason. What? Because at the end of the day, it benefits us. If Microsoft were to start, you know, doing the thing, closing up all these games for their platform, uh, even though I'm a PC gamer, I don't give a shit. I'll get to play them, but I will still feel bad. I will still feel shitty because, hey, there's a lot of people that were your fans that like the games, that like the versions of your game, and suddenly, you are closing them up. But we gotta face the fact that that could be a very well a
And it
reality.
and it would be justifiable. It would be completely justifiable. Why?
Right?
Because we've said this
Fortunately.
before. We said this the entire generation of Xbox One to say Xbox, Microsoft, Phil Spencer, you guys need exclusives.
Hmm.
You need them. That's the only reason why people are going to go to your. It's
Hmm.
just the only way. It's the only way that's going to happen. The reason why Sony's first off, the launch of Xbox One was atrocious, but they could have made up some ground if they had reason to come over. They never did. They got rid of studios. By the way, and I want to point that out.
Hmm.
Under Phil Spencer, several studios got shuttered. Okay, and several games got canceled. So
Yeah.
just because this is all, hey, we got 23 studios, they all have to now pulling together because we just spent all this money.
Oh
We
yeah.
spent we
Yeah.
spent whatever money they
Absolutely.
spent on EA Play. We spent all this stuff. Now we have to start seeing some of that money back. So
Yeah.
yeah, they have 23 now. Don't be surprised in 2 years if they're down to 20. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, you got
I concur 100% on that, because at that point it's like, okay, now we're gonna trim the fat, and because we need to, operate this at,
correct.
nice
It
and
has to,
lean.
yeah. Mhm.
It has to,
Exactly.
it has to make sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trust me, now that, and this is the whole thing with acquisitions in general. There's always gonna be some cuts and some
Yeah.
like, oh well, how do you perform your last game? Oh, so what? There's gonna be
Mhm.
some
Fat trimming.
adjustment.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
fat
yeah,
trimming.
yeah.
Yeah. So an interesting thing I wanted to bring up here was, if there's one thing that ZeniMax, Bethesda, or whoever you want to point at, one thing that they were like proud of, like in several interviews, probably a couple of years ago, back before the Fallout 76 debacle, and they've had actually a couple of debacles recently, for the record. Now, Fallout 76 was the worst,
Yeah.
but you had a couple of games that were,
To say the least.
critically, I guess, did well, but maybe not so much commercially or financially. So this kind of brings a question where it's like, what made them sell? What made them, what made them do this? They didn't have to, right? I mean, if they were running great, right? No one sells unless you kind of have
Seven,
to.
7 billion,
I
a
mean,
7 billion investment, and
I
I'm no, no,
agree,
I'm being
but
totally serious.
7.5 billion
As a
kind of
seven,
sounds like an overpayment. I mean,
well,
just look at what we have.
I don't know if I would call that an overpayment, considering we just agreed on how valuable this ended up being for the company. Granted, I bought a house last year. I paid a little bit more than what was offered, what was going for, because I more than wanted this house. I needed this house, and it has paid
And there you
dividends.
go. Yeah.
It has
Oh
paid
no,
dividends because now
it
it's
has paid
saving me a
dividends
lot of
in your
money.
case. Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the moves. 7.7. I tell you what, 7.5 billion. What it does is that suddenly it is an influx of an investment influx that they're at the end of the day making them themselves, because that's going to go towards improving their own technology, the technology that will serve Microsoft at the end of the day. So they didn't waste money. They didn't throw money. This was a very
No,
sound,
I mean,
crazy sound
it was a good
investment.
thing. It just
Unless they
it's a
suck at the
good,
end, unless they end up like
yeah.
closing shit. And
Well,
yeah,
let's talk about that. Going back to, I'd say Fallout 4 and Doom
mm,
would be right around where Bethesda was rolling in it, right? Fallout 4 was out, Doom was out, Wolfenstein had already come out, Evil Within had already come out a few years
what
before
do you mean
that.
by what do you mean rolling in it? Because Skyrim was the
Roll,
one.
Rolling in
Fallout
well,
3
no,
was the one.
Skyrim was years before that. That's what I'm trying to say,
Right.
is that at that point, I'm trying to specify the last year where they were commercially, as far as moving units, and maybe even, critically, uh
Mm,
having hit after hit, right? You had Evil Within, Wolfenstein right before that, then you had the Old
mm,
Blood, Elder Scrolls Online came
mm,
out, even though it was not great at first, but it still held on.
mm.
Fallout 4, Doom. That Doom is what, 2016? We said 2016
Yeah,
Doom.
yeah.
All right. From then on in, you have Dishonored 2, which I think was an amazing game,
Mm.
but didn't really move what it should have used. Should have moved. Wolfenstein 2, Fallout 76,
So,
Rage 2.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Rage 2. Yeah, fucking Rage 2. No, okay, I didn't hear you mention Doom Eternal.
Oh, well, we're
I
getting
hope
to
they.
that. Yeah, that's this year.
I hope
Remember,
you're
that's this
not.
year.
Oh, that's this year. Okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha. All
that's this year. Yeah, I'm trying to say from 2016
right.
through, let's say, this year, right? Because Doom Eternal came out this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From between that time, there have been more misses than hits. Commercially, again, that's the most important part. Commercial, money wise.
Fallout 76 counts for like 10. when you
Okay,
when,
sure.
when you consider all I mean, in the sense of, yeah, this game is shit. somehow it's still up there, but I don't know how successful that was, and I doubt, I will
Fallout
highly
76?
doubt.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
doubt it.
I will
I doubt it.
highly doubt that.
I doubt that.
And
So you have,
yeah,
I
go
was to
ahead.
say, you have this stream of games. Rage 2 after that, Wolfenstein Youngblood after that,
Yeah,
Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot for the Vive. Do you know about that one? No,
this is
because
for the
it's on
vibe.
the
Nobody
Vive.
cares about. Yeah, nobody.
Exactly. So,
I told you.
but there's still money involved. Money is still being shelled out to get that shit done.
Sure. Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is like I think they sold. I should say they bought. These guys bought it because again, we know why they bought it. They're trying to secure the future with Game Pass.
Mm.
But I think that's what kind of led to the sell
Oh,
from
you think that
ZeniMax.
they were not? But I mean, I don't think they were. I mean, considering what was coming, you got Elder Scrolls, which
Elder
that
Scrolls 6 is
it's just
2022.
yeah.
May.
No, I know. But looking at the future, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think Cinemax was in any trouble. Like that's not what this is about. I don't think this was Microsoft, quote unquote, rescuing them of some sort of like
I don't think
financial
that there were any
situation.
trouble either.
You know,
I think there, but I do personally think that they were avoiding getting into trouble because of a streak that wasn't doing so well. And then when you look at
the
the
streak is small compared in the big things. In the
true,
whole holistic thing of it, those were minor losses. You know, if anything, they're still hugely successful because even their old games are still fucking selling somehow.
Skyrim, for some reason, they can play it on the
Yeah.
toaster, as we all know, or a potato, like you said, can be played. No, I agree that those play,
Skyrim,
but
yeah.
those are not doing gangbuster money. Those are not doing money to support a conglomerate like ZeniMax. You know what I mean? At this point, so I don't know. Call me conspiracy theorist. I just look at it and say they had a bad streak. We know that the next game is Starfield, and we haven't even seen it. We know that after that is Elder Scrolls 6. So guess what? 2022 is Starfield. 2024 maybe Elder Scrolls 6 if they were by themselves. If they were still ZeniMax by themselves. So you have long stretches of game, and that's why I'm saying. I think by being purchased by Microsoft, they have a little bit of wiggle room to say, okay, we have time, we have the backing of $1 trillion company,
And the
we're going to be
resources
okay.
now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have resources now. That's why
Yeah.
I think it's like I don't think that they were in trouble, but I do think that they were trying to avoid trouble.
Yeah, I think
And so
I can agree with that. I can see where Microsoft approaching them with the offer, and they looking at their time. What do you call that when they have a plan for like what's that called? A
the
game
timeline or
a timeline. It has another name.
yeah,
I'll be trying
I don't know
to
what you're saying.
anyway, the when they see the game plan, let's call it the game plan,
Mhm.
that they have for the next few years, I can see how the acquisition may make sense. You know, it will sound. Not to mention, they're going with a partner that they have already had a lot of experience with. You know,
Mhm.
if you go back all the way to the 360, well, actually, don't have to go back to the 360. Sorry, to the original Xbox when one of the first. Show of force technology highlights of the Xbox was showing um, Elder Scrolls. What's that? Morrowind. You
Morrowind, yeah.
know, Morrowind running. And then you get the 360, and again they do the exact same thing, but this time with Oblivion. Uh, and so they kind of have they kind of already have established that pedigree. Whereas you'll see that the better supported versions are always the Microsoft ones because what happened to even Skyrim on PlayStation, on PlayStation 3,
Yeah, but I would argue that
Oblivion. I
I
don't
would
think
argue that
Oblivion ever showed up on a Sony platform. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I honestly don't know, but I would argue
I
that
don't think so.
Skyrim's issue wasn't that it wasn't supported; it was because it was being done on a cell processor, and they
Yeah,
just couldn't figure that shit
yeah.
out. And
Yeah,
Sony to this day has problems trying to emulate the cell processor.
yeah.
Sony the creators of said cell processor have issues doing it. I think I saw online that you have even these random, you know, I don't know, techie guys who are trying to
Yeah,
emulate it, and they have issues emulating. So it's
yeah.
like,
But the
yeah,
point is that they gave up. They heard like this is
yeah, yeah.
unfixable. This,
But what
this,
I'm
this
saying
is
is, if it
unfixable.
wasn't for that, I think you'd have a good copy of Skyrim on PlayStation 3. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Uh, the fact that we already have that history that all of the Elder Scrolls game have come on the Xbox platform, whereas some of them came out on the PlayStation and they were not like incredibly well supported to this day. Again,
Mhm.
Oblivion, I just checked. No PlayStation version of Oblivion. That was an Xbox exclusive, and Microsoft didn't know Bethesda at that time. And this was not an up and coming IP. Obviously, it was a very established already by them because that was the
It was,
what
but it was
number four
also,
game.
yeah, but I will
I mean, it was
also
not
say
Skyrim, but it was
yeah, but it
yeah,
was also an American company with an American company versus at the time,
yeah.
PlayStation was probably a little bit more Japanese than it is now. Now it's much more bigger. It has much more bigger presence, and I think it's like the headquarters are here in America, but it wasn't back then. And this is PlayStation 2 days.
Hmm.
Is when yeah. So that's why I say yes, they had a bigger connection, but they had a bigger connection because of different reasons. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
As opposed to
Be that what it may. They
they
had a
have a
bigger
connection.
connection,
Yeah, yeah.
and they have partnered more often with Microsoft for the releases that they have done with Sony. Even though they have actually done with Sony for some of the things. I think Doom, if I remember correctly, was shown on PlayStation hardware first. If I'm remembering correctly,
Doom
uh,
2016.
2016. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I honestly don't know. Yeah.
I,
I couldn't. I
I'm
couldn't
for some reason my
elaborate
head,
that. Yeah.
I'm remembering that, but I apologize if I'm wrong on that. What I'm trying to say is that yes, I don't want Doom to be walled in. I don't want games to be walled in. Period. Bar none. That's it. Period. Right. I understand Sony not releasing fucking their Spider-Man game, their actual game. Not talking about that DLC bullshit. Their actual game on Xbox or PC for that matter. Even though, hey, there's money there. There's money there, and Sony can use money.
Yeah, they
It's,
do, but
it,
they are a
they,
hardware company. They need to
they,
sell the hardware. That's the issue. Yeah.
but
Microsoft
they
doesn't
need to
need to
make
sell the hardware.
money. The company needs to make money. It should if you tell me Sony is a hardware company, then they're focusing on the wrong thing. They should just be a company that it's on looking towards growth, financial growth, and the way you achieve that is by obviously making sound decisions that will make. But it is sound. I understand it is sound for them not to have those because they want the PlayStation to be an icon, an item, that the gaming platform that everybody goes to, and they have succeeded in that. When you think about it, they have succeeded.
In this generation, they have for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Microsoft has a Microsoft is right now. It's the ball's on Microsoft court, or it's time to play the card, and it's like they could decide to to wall everything to the Xbox platform and be like, well, just like Sony, we want to grow our platform. At the cost of, like you said, leaving money on the table. Whatever they could have a reason, just like Sony has a reason to do the same thing. And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the last thing.
But they
That's the
could.
last thing
Yeah,
because and that's what scares me about about this situation. Like I said, I like the idea of having a stronger Microsoft because a stronger Microsoft makes a stronger Sony, and a stronger Sony makes a stronger Microsoft. At the end of the day, we're the ones that reap the benefit. But when we try to play this stupid console wars and try to pretend like, oh, it's now, Xbox has the control and it's gonna be the best platform because we got all these games, and when you play like that, that's I think that's when gamers, in general suffer, because there's no reason for us to be, divided. That's why when we had that conversation about the
This
exclusive,
was yeah. Mhm.
I was like, I agree what they have that. Uh, I don't like the idea, but I agree that they do it, and we came to an agreement that yeah, that was the sound thing to do. Well, guess what? Microsoft could decide to do the sound thing, quote unquote,
And it
and
would be the
cause
sound
the
thing.
problem.
And
And
honestly, no one on this on the PlayStation side has any leg to stand on by saying, "Oh, that's not fair." You know what I'm
oh, that's
saying?
not right,
So
right,
yeah. So
yeah.
any PlayStation person, or PlayStation aficionado or fanboy or whatever the fuck you want to call them, none of them have any leg to stand on by saying that. I would be the first one to say if Microsoft did that, that would make perfect sense. It
Mhm.
would. And I wouldn't even blame them. I really wouldn't.
Oh, yeah,
Because as a business, right, you want to have a reason to come to your product, whatever the fuck it is. But,
that's yeah,
so they do that, then so be it. If they don't do that, then it's a choice they decided to make to go the other way. But the point is,
yeah, and
that
they look good.
they
They
should
look
not
good
be
at
blamed.
you know.
Correct, and they should not be blamed for making that decision, because I'm pretty sure if I had to guess on any type of thing, if there's another Dishonored, if there's another Wolfenstein, yeah, guys, accept it. It's probably not coming to PlayStation. Sure, maybe the big tentpole titles will come over, but not those other ones. And
Mhm.
don't be surprised, and don't say shit, because it's not like Sony sharing Ghost of Tsushima with anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
to be
that's
clear.
you're
Oh,
right.
sorry.
You're absolutely right. And I agree with that. But
The thing is that this, if anything, the most that this could be is perhaps a black eye on Sony's side. This is not the end of the war, or this is not, oh my God, they got the winning hand or anything like that. No, because guess what? Sony
still has his
still have
talent.
and
Yeah,
has
still has his yeah.
demonstrated that they have amazing talent. And the crazy thing that they do, they don't need to have the next Doom if it weren't to happen, because they can make their own and they can make their own shit. They have demonstrated that already. And if you want to play those exclusives, guess what? You're gonna have to buy a PlayStation
You're
then,
gonna need
son.
a PlayStation,
Yeah.
which is why realistically, yes, I already said I'm buying a Series S easily,
Mhm.
no questions asked. It's happening. Why?
Mhm.
Because of Game Pass. Because the fact that it's cheap. Because that is still technically next gen while not being 100% next gen. But I still get all those. I get a library by getting this one console at $299. But that said, I'm still getting a PlayStation 5. No question, no doubt
Yeah.
about it. It's
Same here.
still happening. So I think a lot of gamers that are not in the whole fanboy and console war bullshit, I think a lot of them are going, yeah, I'm probably going to do that. Maybe not all at the same time, but they eventually will. Why? Because you
You'll
want
see the
those
rest.
exclusives.
Yeah.
And you cannot deny the value behind Game Pass by Microsoft.
Mhm.
So a question real quick. I want to transition over to a question that a lot of Reddit users have been putting up there, and that is how should Sony respond? Or should
They
they
should
even
buy
bother
Epic.
responding? you know, and
I
there's
fixed
two.
it. I fixed it already. They should buy Epic.
Oh, oh yeah, because they can afford Epic.
I
Uh,
have, yeah, I have something to say on that, but please
so
continue and
there's
remind me
two.
later.
Yeah, there's two major ones that I saw, and I find them both interesting and yet also hilarious. so,
Oh,
like, so the
I like
first one,
those.
yeah, the first one is probably the more sensible one,
Possible,
but
sensible. Okay,
and maybe even possible.
I
I
think I know
still
where
don't
this
think
is
that they
going.
would do it. Sony should acquire Capcom. so,
Oh no,
um,
son! Now you throw it left field there
oh,
like crazy.
that was not mine. That was just one of the things that were on
I mean,
Reddit. Now it was a
that's
consistent
sound.
one. So
Let me see.
first off, what do you think, sir? Should they even
Well,
bother?
I will have okay. Okay, this question, we need to be careful with some of these assessments, because in order to make such uh in order to make such declarations, I feel like we have to be conscious of what really we're saying when we say Sony should buy X company or Y company. Why? Because otherwise this becomes just fantasy football.
So yes, that's why I only have two. I
So,
eliminated the other like 4 or 5 that were just like, okay, this is stupid. I'm not even going to branch in this.
well, so what? Let me tell you what I mean by that. It's like you look at the market caps of each company, and no, market caps are not the be all end all, thing that you can read and you can decide 100%. Oh, okay, so this can happen and this cannot happen, but it gives you a fresh idea, like a good idea or of the possibilities. For example, when you mention uh, so Sony market cap is 96.2 billion, and we already established that Microsoft is 1.5 trillion.
Trillion.
I don't know how many times 100 billion have fit on a trillion, but there's a wide gap. Let's just say.
Yeah, there's 10
And it
times.
makes sense because Microsoft is more than just Xbox, and you should
Correct,
know by
yes.
now. And if you don't know that by now, then maybe
Not only that, you also understand. I think the most recent one, which is when I was, hold on, because I had it here. It's basically, it was sometime in the summer. Is the most recent one, somewhere around June or July, and it basically kind of gave more or less how much cash Sony PlayStation has available to work with, and it was somewhere about $5.5 billion in cash. That they had available. So
which will empty. So in other words, that will empty
out their pockets,
their war chest, basically. Okay, all right. So that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that because to put it in perspective, Capcom's market cap, market cap, not carpet. Sorry, Capcom market cap as of December 25th is valued at 5.8. Well, let's say 5.9 billion. Right, right now.
So right now they would empty out their cash, and they would obviously have to put in some sort of stock options and stuff to make up the difference, essentially.
Yeah.
And probably some sort of some sort of stuff down the line, some sort of roadmap to kind of say, okay, at this point we'll give this, So that would easily shutter a PlayStation if they don't succeed. Say if they don't continue. You don't want to do that. You don't want to paint your entire company into a corner, because Sony itself, like the big corporate Sony, right, is not doing well. Sony Pictures not doing well. Sony Computers not doing well. I think Sony Computers got sold, if I'm not mistaken, or
I think Sony Computers is just basically PlayStation at this point because they sold
some sort of division. So the only profitable division within Sony is PlayStation. And do you want to empty out their treasure chest or war chest just to acquire Capcom? No, you don't want to do that. So I agree. That's not a smart fucking move.
So, you know what? It would have made it could have been a smart move maybe
before the rise of Capcom, right?
No, exactly.
No, because there was a time that Capcom was like drowning. It was just like, damn, these guys fucking, like right after I think it was Resident Evil 6. Shortly thereafter, they had stuff wasn't flying for them. Now some of them, because they've got Monster Hunter, Resident Evil,
exactly. If you look at the growth pattern, they skyrocketed with Monster Hunter in 2018, and they just went like on 2017 there were 1.3 billion this time on 2017, and now we're talking about they're closing up on 6 billion. So that would be of the
that would have been the time. Yeah, exactly. Right. But now it's too late. Now they have partnerships already anyway, because we already know that Street Fighter 5 was completely exclusive.
Yep.
They have another.
That's another marquee title that's another marquee title that they could have just Capcom could have been let's just release it, and I mean, some
Oh,
PC
Sony
also,
paid for
but
that. Again, that's another
Sony paid for
exclusive.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
They don't come exclusive just out of the
yeah.
blue. They're
Yeah,
paying for that
exactly.
shit. Yeah, yeah. So that was an investment, and that was a wise investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's the only place to play the
Street
top,
Fighter, if you
the
want.
top fighting game.
Hmm.
Period. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one was even more wacky, but not as wacky as the other four. And that was, and I think you probably heard this one because I think this was a common rumor or theory,
Is
and
that
that
common
was,
spelled with a K?
yeah, to acquire Konami because that's exactly what Sony wants. Right? So again, I think I
Wow.
heard this and I laughed because I was like, Konami is not even really in games anymore. They're like in a bunch of other shit that has nothing to do with gaming. Why would they want to acquire this? You
Funny
know
that
what I
you
mean?
mentioned, because one of the news that I left on the table that I didn't talk about was the fact that Metal Gear Solid 1
Metal
and
Gear
2
Solid.
is being
Yeah.
released on PC or
PC.
re-released or whatever. Of course, there doesn't look like they're remakes or touch-ups or anything like that. It's just like, hey,
It's just,
here's
yeah,
a
straight
couple of
ports.
old games,
Yeah.
just like we did with Contra and with
Yeah.
Castlevania.
So here comes so I think you and I both agree acquiring
Uh,
Konami doesn't make any sense for Sony because you would be acquiring, first off, I don't think you can afford it, and secondly, you would be acquiring several divisions of shit that you just don't want to fucking deal with. Pachinko machines, and they have a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with gaming. So it's like, why would you want to buy all that?
Maybe the gaming
However,
maybe they think, well, why did they acquire just the gaming division, being that Konami was kind of like in the outs anyway, and
well,
that way they
that's where
acquired the licenses. But here's a problem with that. Konami's not going to sell the licenses, because even though Konami's not on the business of video games per se, they're still in the business of pachinko games and stuff like that, in which they very well use those licenses
true,
lucratively.
true. That would be the only. I don't think you can get them all, but I think you can probably acquire one of those IP, one of the major IPs, right? If you got Silent Hill,
Mm-hmm.
although Metal Gear, um, what's another
Mm-hmm.
one? Castlevania. If you, I don't think Castlevania, because Castlevania right now is kind of popular with the show. I'm trying to think of something that really is kind of sitting out. But I mean, you maybe not be able to acquire them all, but if you acquire one, and you acquire it, it's your IP. You know what I'm saying? That would be a smart move. How much it costs, I don't know. I have no idea what those things cost. It comes on value. Metal Gear really was kind of out in the outs until they until today or recently when they re-released it on PC. We really haven't talked about Metal Gear. Castlevania has the show. Silent Hill. I don't know. I don't know where Silent Hill is right now with anything. So
Nobody knows anything.
yeah, yeah.
Evidently,
So
there is something in the works, but like nobody
yeah.
knows what's on there.
Yeah, and then you have all the smaller ones. Maybe Contra. Maybe giving Contra to. Oh man, maybe giving Contra. But anyway, the point is that I think personally acquiring an IP, maybe that would make sense. But it have to be a really good IP, and it has to be a sensible price. You don't want to overpay for the IP.
Well, don't
Uh,
forget that they recently made. I mean, they made their moves. They acquired Soccer Bunch, right? Soccer Bunch.
no, they've
Uh,
had some companies. You're talking about
oh,
Insomnia. Yes.
Sonya. Sorry. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
They
but that was
acquired.
$250 million.
And that was, huh?
That
That
was
was
for
what?
$250 million.
Yeah, yeah, but that was a very smart move, because look at what
Extremely,
that was superbly, because look,
absolutely.
they
But you know
provided
why?
a
I'll tell
game
you why.
that more than made up for it.
The reason why they were so cheap, you got talent, and you
Mm,
didn't have to pay for any IP because Insomniac doesn't own any IP. They're only developers. They don't actually own their own IP. So
mm.
everything that they've made, everyone else owns.
Well, that's
So
fine.
that's
That's
why they
good.
got it. Yeah. So I agree. That at 250 million,
Yeah,
250 million, that was a steal.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like you just got one of the top. I don't think Insomniac has made a bad game. You know, and I
No,
think
no.
the
They
the
did. They
at
did a
worst
game
even an
out
average
for.
game.
They
Yeah,
do a game for Xbox. It's surprisingly enough, even exclusive for Xbox, and unfortunately, and the game was great,
Yeah.
but it didn't sell the units. And well, too bad, because guess what? Now we never get to see another one of those. A and B. Uh, in
Well,
Sony, it's in a much better
never say
place now.
never.
Well, true, yeah. Unless this was published by Microsoft, which I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, and it's a small IP anyway. Um, but Sony has made the move. Sony cannot make monster moves. It's established. People
No,
say,
no.
well, they own a part of Epic. Yeah, they own.
2.5% of Epic. That's a
Yeah,
fraction.
that's what I want to. That's what I wanted
Yeah.
to, to clarify, because a lot of people were saying like, well, what if Sony buys Epic, and that's a virtual impossibility
Yeah, they
based on
can't
the
afford
fact
it.
that Epic is
Epic,
doing very
E-
well.
Epic can buy Sony, maybe. Maybe that'll happen, but not the other way around. Yeah.
I don't know, literally, but I see what you're saying. But yeah, they're definitely doing very well, and he was smart of Sony to make an investment, and having a partnership. That's the thing that Sony could actually forge now: alliances, particular
Mhm.
partnerships with companies where they might not be able to prevent them necessarily, unless they want to like fork out the money uh, to keep something from the other party, but they can definitely secure that the best versions are on their platform. And that's why I don't think necessarily Sony needs to make. That was, I believe, one of the questions that we established, that we put at the beginning. I don't think that Sony necessarily need to make any moves at this point,
Agree.
because
Because
they're not
the
hurting.
two, yeah,
They're,
exactly. And by the way, Deathloop and Ghostwire,
mhm.
those are still going to be time exclusive on PlayStation.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you just acquired a company, and yet, of course, they could have made those moves, but contractually, they can't. Right? You have to honor the contracts that were already done, and so there you go. So you already still have two of the acquired ZeniMax games that
Mhm.
will come to PlayStation first anyway. So PlayStation really can just sit back and relax for the moment, really focus on launch, and really focus on, hey, where do we go from here with
Let's make the
any
best
acquisition
versions
game.
of the games that we have. We still have a incredibly strong establishment of games, stable of games, and there's still the possibility that those games are not gonna end up being walled off, and I hope not. Um, so this is, if anything, this might look like a bloody nose at most. For Sony, they're not out of the count. They're not in trouble. They're not,
No,
just like Microsoft didn't automatically.
but
This is
I
not their
will.
winning whatever. Like people, Microsoft still have a lot of work to to do on their camp.
So, yeah, and again, they have to start. They have to start making back money on those investments they just made. Two major ones. We heard about the 7.5. We don't know what they did for EA, but we know money was paid for that.
Yeah.
So you have two major investments into games that are coming to your service, and that service is collecting monthly, but you still have your operating expenses, right? So you still have your stuff that you need to pay. So sure, you have 15 million at $10 a month, but that's going to all these places at the moment. So they have to start
Well, it's
making
like
money
they
back
increased
on
the price recently for PC now.
well, there you go. And hence the reason why you can't even blame them. I wouldn't blame them. Like, shit, you just bought these guys for 7.5 billion. I feel bad for you, bro. Here goes 15. You know what I mean? I don't blame you. You know what I mean? So, but I think Sony needs to be smart. Don't make rash moves. And I don't think they will, but they shouldn't make rash moves, because realistically, it only takes one really bad move to fuck up your launch. And we know that because that's exactly what happened to the Xbox One.
Yes,
It was a
absolutely.
really bad move, and
Mhm.
they never recovered. Sure, PlayStation still has exclusives, and Microsoft did not at that point, but that doesn't mean you don't stumble for 2 or 3 years trying to make up the loss.
Mhm.
So it's important for them to just stick to what they're going, stick to their whatever, but learn in the sense that, hey, we're gonna have to start getting some sort of something to combat this. You know what I mean? They can't just rest on their laurels. You know, they need to say, okay, we need to get, whether it's more IP or more, exclusives, whatever the case may be, we need to keep things going. We need to give them a reason to still come back to PlayStation, even though they're going to play Game Pass because those games are immediately available. We need them to still purchase our console. And that's really their move. And that's all they need to do. And just don't fuck it up. You know what I mean? Don't go doing some dumbass thing like making, Spider-Man not available for everybody else who bought Spider-Man already, because what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Well said. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
I think we just closed it nicely there.
I think so too. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys sticking around with us for what may be our 4-hour podcast. I'm not even sure. I know this one's a long one, guys, but I appreciate you sticking around. As always, guys, please go to goodgame.rocks, join the conversation there, and of course, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. This is Mad Dog signing off this week, saying, guys, if you really, really want to have a voice, go out and fucking vote. I don't care if you do it by mail. I don't care if you go to the polls. If you go to the polls, please put a mask on. Be safe. But do not sit home and do nothing. It is of an imperative importance that this happens this week. I can't express it anymore. And I'll leave it at that. Please go vote. Mr. Santos, Mr. Game Twister. Mr. Game Twister. Take
wow, it's that late, huh? Guys, over here in Florida, evidently the pandemic restrictions have been lifted. Think that they're still in it. Don't go crazy. Don't stop, protecting yourself, wearing your mask, just like you mentioned. Don't go crazy unless you're looking to have the Pandemic Part 3, which I'm not interested in the sequel.
Agreed.
Please be safe, and you don't have to go crazy. So go out, and I will understand. I understand. It's difficult. Sometimes you get cabin fever. Just be careful out there. That's all.
Agree. 100%. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I guess we'll see you next week.
I guess so. So, JJ!